Welcome back to Hidden Power. This is a Pokemon podcast. Today is going to be a very fun episode. This is our first ever live call-in show hosted in our secret Discord. Today we're going to be talking all about Pokemon Legends ZA. This game is still slated for 2025, right? That's a long time away. We don't know if it's going to be in the beginning of the year, the end of the year. We're still, people I think are still buzzing about, with various theories about what kind of new Pokemon are going to be in the game, what the plot's going to be, what kind of new forms we might see. A lot of Mega Evolution content. My name is DustyGogoat. You can't see me, but I am here. And I'm also, of course, with the LumiosePost.
Hello.
And SoulSilverArt.
What's up?
I guess what I want to talk about is some people are suggesting that the game's not even done yet, and maybe people are coming to that conclusion because of the fact that we didn't even get any gameplay footage. I saw a big analysis by you, Soul, and I'm curious to kind of get some of your feedback on that.
It's weird because people would just popping up in my DMs about Ku saying that it was not in development yet. I'm just like, what are you guys talking about?
Yeah, it has to be in development.
It was just a very crazy idea that came out of nowhere. I don't know. I saw some guy got blocked by Ku and for being and he's it wasn't in development and all that, and so there was a big drama about it. But my thoughts are, I don't think that he was trying to leak that. That's basically it. People think that he was literally telling us that it's not. People take his stuff too literally.
Yeah.
That's the bottom line. That was my
everything he posts is a leak to everyone. Everyone jumps on everything. You remember he posts about, because he's Chinese, and in China they still do Quest, and they do regular updates for Quest, and so he'll post oh, Probo Pass has been added to Quest, and people will be like, Mega Probo Pass.
Yeah,
and it's what?
That would be sick.
No, he's just posting it's still his personal account too, right?
So and you can't blame people for that, right? Because obviously he is a person who has been giving us very real information, privileged information before we're supposed to get it, so it makes sense that people
usually it is in riddles.
Yeah.
So it is kind of you post a picture, it's is this a riddle or is this Ku just liking Pokemon Quest? Especially with Masters, because I feel he has teased things with Masters.
Yeah, it's usually pretty obvious though that it is a riddle. Do you know what I mean? It's
totally,
usually
it's usually it's 4 images or something, right? There's an option of things, and then there's a statement, right, with a question mark, and it's okay.
That's what I was saying in that post mostly. It's when he starts actually leaking stuff, we will know. It won't just be a random little piece of information like that. Yeah. I think that he was just saying that they didn't show anything, and so it must be far away. They probably haven't started anything, or he could have even been joking. Do you know what I mean? Like all of the cynical jokes going around about Game Freak not having it together. Do you know they just are starting right now, even though it's coming out in a year, you know? There's a lot to be said about it, but people that are actually believing that it's not, or that it just started development, basically, it's you got to use just a little bit of
So when are we? Just a little bit of critical thinking. Think about it. Be all right, well, when do you think this game was created? Because if the game's just announced, they don't create a game within 9 months or whatever.
It would be fair to think that if they didn't give a release date, or they didn't. I mean, they didn't get a date.
Sure, they're just trying to get us hyped, right?
Since they said 2025, there's no way they're going to make this entire game in that time frame, basically.
Yeah. I mean, I guess 2 years isn't.
Right.
I guess honestly,
I was saying unless it's
2 years, if it's late
2025,
which they didn't specify. Actually, 2 years is not that. It's not that ridiculous of an amount of time.
It is for that kind of game.
I think it is. Right.
It is.
Exactly.
And
even with the reused assets,
they're not making Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl.
Well, Well, what do we think about that? Do we think they're going to be reusing assets from Legends Arceus? They're obviously reusing some ideas.
I personally do think they will reuse a bunch of assets.
Do you think they could use the Scarlet and Violet assets of the Pokemon and those textures and those models and incorporate those in this new Legends engine?
It really depends, because they did say they wanted it to be ambitious, right?
Yeah.
And we know that like Creatures makes their models and stuff, so it's not out of the realm of possibility that they were just like, hey, make these. Because the thing is, what I'm thinking is that they would reuse assets from Legends Arceus.
Yeah.
But probably a bunch of those Pokemon are not going to be in Legends ZA, and then there's going to be more Pokemon, like all of the Kalos Pokemon, in it. So they have to make those. I don't think that they will use Scarlet and Violet assets, but I could be wrong. I just think it's two different teams, right? So it's the Game Freak B team. So they would have to go to the A team and be like, hey, can we get these? They could.
They would have to kind of blend it together. I was talking to Jake Steinberg, friend of the show. I was trying to understand like what an engine actually means, right? I was trying to understand because I feel like in the Pokemon community, we just assume any sort of art style, we refer to that, any sort of like gameplay art style as an engine. But yeah, in reality, an engine, I mean, he was describing it to me, and this made sense to me as someone who makes videos. He said an engine is essentially the editing software that you use, right? It's actually the thing that you build the game within, but you can have a variety of different art styles. So that actually makes me think, I'm relating this to our conversation, that makes me think that they could have a quote unquote Gen 9 engine, but it actually might have Legends assets within it. It might have Scarlet and Violet assets in it, right? Which
I think it's possible.
Yeah, so they can mix all of this stuff together, I am curious. We're gonna get to some call-ins in a little bit, but I am curious when Game Freak says that this game is going to be ambitious. What do we think that they're referring to, right? Could it be something new that we haven't even seen yet? Is it just going to be that it's like I don't think ambitious sounds like the term ambitious. That's like marketing language, right? Like what?
Yes and no.
I'm assuming they're going to promote something new, whether it's voice acting, right? Like
that'd be fun.
But then it's also
that'd
like
really cool.
what is beyond open world, right? Is it going to be open world? Is it the first Legends games that's open world?
Universe.
No, I think the main like ambition of it all is really that it's going to be set in Lumio City. I think that's the biggest thing about it.
Yeah.
Like, because they've never done just like a single city, like one setting kind of vibe. I think that's it. Especially if they do like I was just looking at what Draco just said, the Tears of the Kingdom style where we have like the underground map as well.
Yeah.
Maybe even the sky map, So like if they have different maps to it, different layers to it, I don't think it'll be on that scale of Zelda, but you know what I mean? It's ambitious for them to do that. It's much more than what they've been doing. Plus, I think that with Megas, it complicates the battling so much more compared to Legends Arceus. So now there's a focus on battling too. So there's much more going on in this game, to me at least. I don't know if you have thoughts, Lumi, but
no, yeah, I do. I mean, I've said for a while, both on here and on my channel, that I think that there's a chance there's like a past Lumiose and a future Lumiose, and we're switching between those. So then you have a few differences, like, oh, this is a school, but when you're in the future Lumiose, it's actually not a school, it's a factory, or things like that. Because that would also be easy to kind of make. I would think it would be easier to make because you're just like you're reusing a lot of the same assets. Like Prism Tower is probably going to be almost exactly the same between past and the future, right? So I don't know, but
that would be ambitious.
It's super hard to go off of, given that we've gotten the 1 minute 30-second trailer.
I know, but I don't see it that way. I know a lot of people see it that way because I don't know. My mind just like opens up to speculation. Like there's so many different things to talk about because you can speculate on it. I don't know. I'm not one of those people that gets disappointed when my speculations are not true, and I think that's a big factor in that. Like people get
that's
really
a giant factor.
Like, people are like, man, I thought about this cool thing and now it's not there. But nothing that I say is like set in stone, so I don't take it that way. But I was also looking at what Bramtastic said about like the scaling of the city, because in X and Y, like Lumio City was the biggest city, and like like the main feature kind of thing where it's like, oh, this is ambitious, right? This is ambitious for them to do on the 3DS. I think that's the direction of the ambition there. But if they jumped back and forth between times, that would be over the top ambition. I could see it, but we'll see.
All right, cool
stuff.
Yeah, let's open up the lines. We'd love to hear from some of our from some of the audience. If you want to join the call, I believe there should be a little button that allows you to raise your hand. I think might be the terminology. Yeah, you can't see me, but I'm raising my hand as well. And we want to do this in a way that kind of rewards or prioritizes higher tier members. So truthfully, I'm looking at you, Bramtastic. If you want to jump on now, you can jump on later as well.
His hand just pops right up.
His hand popped up. We're kind of just trying to do this right now. Let's see if I can do this. Yeah.
This is a learning process for all of us.
We're learning.
The next one will be a lot better. And there will be more. So sign up for Patreon or YouTube memberships.
Yeah.
There he is. What's
Bram,
up, Palmer?
how you doing?
I'm good, thanks. You?
I'm doing really good. Thanks for being our first live call-in.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting. I've been looking forward to this.
Yeah, dude.
Sweet.
This is great.
First on the show ever.
So what do you...
You're a part of Hidden Power history.
Yeah, right.
With Palmer was my mascot.
Yeah, I know.
I was like, what?
Honestly, I might have a question for you. Yeah, I mean, like, is that one of your favorite Pokemon from Scarlet and Violet?
Well, it was my original favorite, and it still is, to be honest, is
I think it...
an Arcanine. But this was because of the inspiration behind it. It was the whole defibrillator inspiration and you getting exercise to sort of make it evolve, and then the revival blessing move sort of being a part of that defibrillator inspiration. I just loved all of that.
That's so true.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, it is cool.
Not Palmot though, just Palmo.
No, it's only because I haven't managed to evolve my Palmo Pokemon.
Oh, okay.
That's the one I could snap.
That's fair.
So when it evolves, will you change it?
Yeah, sure, why not?
All right. I do think
Sorry, go on.
No, I do think the design has actually grown on me over the last year or so.
Yeah, it's like, it is a 5 out of 10. It's not anything special, but it's just, I love the inspiration so much that's why I sort of, I just put it on my profile.
Yeah.
That's great.
Here, I'm messing around with my settings right now. But what is your question? What would you like to talk about today?
Honestly, it's the Pokemon ZA stuff, what you were just talking about, the inspiration. At first I was thinking about convergent evolutions and I had a whole thing to talk about, but with Pokemon ZA, I do believe that the ambition thing with the city scaling up, I've just been playing it on the 3DS and I see the size of some of these buildings that are on there. There's an art museum, there's all these restaurants, there's cafes, and obviously if it is in the past, it's not going to be as developed, or we might be developing it, but just the idea that the sheer scale of this city could be absolutely unbelievable. I don't think people quite get how big this city could actually be.
I totally agree.
That it would be very epic. And like I was just saying, like I'm trying not to get my hopes too high in that. You don't want to be like, oh wow. But I do think that that's the ambition, like that the streets would be big, that you're like walking through a street and it's like to scale. So you think like it doesn't even matter that you're in a city. You see it's like a actual whole open world kind of game in a city. So it's definitely epic sounding.
Yeah, I don't think.
I
really don't think
does
people.
Does anyone know off the top of their head what number Paris is in terms of? Okay, is the 28th biggest city in the world?
I thought you said. I thought you were saying.
I think you said
Paris,
like Pokemon, the height of Paris or something, or what number it was.
No, Paris,
like, what
France,
number is Paris?
Is the biggest city in the world.
Yeah,
but Paris might be important too because it was randomly added to the Sinnoh and Legends Arceus. But
yeah.
Paris, France is the 28th biggest, which that's pretty crazy. I know 28, that's like, oh, it's not top 10, but 28, pretty big.
It's big. And I think it's also culturally. I feel like it's one of those cities that's recognized worldwide. So it would make sense, right? 100%. It would make sense that this is the game that we're going back to. It would make sense that this is the game that they try to scale up, completely, right? This is the city that they would want to make proportional. That has to be one of the coolest things, right? If Pokemon,
it would be this more universe.
Yeah, like imagine it. Like I don't think we're getting it, but right, it's like I feel like this game could potentially redefine expectations for future games, right? This could be the next, like, we want 2 regions, right? Right, that happened in Gold and Silver, and people have wanted that sense, right? But this could be the next, like, we want to see Saffron, or we want to see Castelia City at full scale, right? We want a Pokemon game at full scale. It is true. I don't think that's on people's radar because it doesn't really make for a good, like, exciting video, right? It's not really like, it doesn't lend itself well to like, a clickbait thumbnail. But I do think it's like a really exciting, just possibility for the franchise, right?
I think it would be epic.
Yeah, and then there's a whole added element, right? Of if Game Freak wants to take inspiration from like the Zelda games, then there is this whole other aspect, right, that we were talking about earlier about potentially we go into the catacombs, right? And there's an entire map underneath Lumio City that is explorable, and there's different encounters, right? We meet history. I don't know. There's a lot of cool stuff that we could see in this game.
Yeah, and there's the art when you go over to right at the beginning of Scarlet and Violet, when you leave the player's house and walk over to Nemona's house, you go inside. There's the old painting from Greninja, and it says like the hidden ninja. Is it supposed to be of a Pokemon when you're on it and you're looking at this painting? And I'm just replaying X and Y these past few weeks. I went in and I forgot there was an art museum right there in Lumio City with all these depictions of different regions that have come before and Pokemon and mythicals, and I'm wondering if we are going to see that painting actually in the Legends of the Year in the past or being created then.
That's so
That's
cool.
Fun.
Yeah,
I could totally see that happening.
Yeah,
they like to do that little stuff. They did something with BDSP where they added something. Like the one thing they added into BDSP was the like Manaphy story, maybe, if I'm remembering correctly.
Yeah.
And then it happened in Legends Arceus, so I could totally see them just putting little Easter eggs.
Do we know? Because that's in Nemona's house. Do we know what region she's from? We know she's not from Paldea. I think people assume Unova because she knew Lacey, but I mean, she could be from Kalos, and like that's why she asked the painting too.
Yep. No, totally. Nobody knows where she's from. That we just don't. We know that she's not from Paldea originally.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
France would make a lot of sense.
The thing.
Say that again.
Pokemon is palmy, isn't it? So it's sort of like I don't know where she'd be from because she hasn't even got the Pokemon to say that she's from such a region. She's using Pokemon from Paldea.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Well, I think she says she moved when she was 7 years old.
Yeah.
And so that would make sense, like that if you start being a trainer at 10, then that would explain why she has only Scarlet and Violet Pokemon.
If only her parents were home, we could know. But actually, the Greninja painting in her house is kind of a tell. If we're thinking like, oh, based on what Pokemon she has or her family has, because like in Sun and Moon, you move with like the Meowth or whatever.
Yeah.
Like that kind of tells you where that character and his family were from. So maybe she is from Kalos based on them having a picture of Greninja in their house. If their parents were there, if her parents were there, maybe there's little Kalosian Pokemon running around the house.
Yeah. So yeah. Are we? So I don't want to jump to this conversation, but we really do think. Like, what do you guys? What do you guys think? Like, do you think the Kalos starters are going to be our actual starters in the game?
Oh wow, you really don't want to jump to that conversation.
I think they will be a set of starters.
Yeah, they will be.
I think there will be a set of starters. Kalos is famous for being the region that gave us 2 sets of starters. So I could see them being a set, and there are mega set. So they're the Kanto starters this time around.
Yeah.
And then there's our main set, which are, regional variants, maybe. I don't know.
This is a popular theory,
exactly
but I'm not convinced still. I don't know if we get 2 sets of starters. I think it's a bit much to expect from them. If we get it, I will be so happy, but I'm just not expecting it. I'm just like, all right, we're going to get at least 1 pair of starters. If we get the second pair, great.
Well, we know we are getting starters. They also could be wild too, right? Like Piplup, Chimchar, and Turtwig were wild in Hisui.
What if all the starters are
megas?
Paris. Like we have 3 different Paris to choose from. Get it?
A fire Paris, a water Paris, and a grass Paris.
I'm down, actually. I love bug types,
Yeah, so. Honestly. Yeah, I don't know. I think they will be I think one of the most exciting things, and at this point, defining features of Legends Arceus and that experience was the fact that we got to choose new starters, like a new set of new starters. And I think it's like the first partner Pokemon, right? That like archetype. I don't think we've, other than maybe, other than Megas.
Never heard of those.
Well, that's not true. I guess they've gotten these. So these Pokemon have gotten like battle gimmicks and stuff. But the only other way that we're gonna get like regional forms of these Pokemon or like regional evolutions or whatever, is I think like the most appropriate way for them to get evolutions or regional forms is as another set of starters. Like it just kind of makes sense. It's like it's not because if you just give like Typhlosion a regional form in like a random region, it almost devalues it, or now forever that Pokemon is like not really a starter in that context, right? You know how like Deoxys was kind of like retconned to be like, it's still a mythical, but it's like now accessible in Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire. I think it just is really appropriate and fitting for it's like if Game Freak wants to give new forms to these older starters, they just basically now can like repackage them as a new set of starters, and that's an opportunity. And we've seen it done once in an Arceus game. I'm sorry, in a Legends game. So it would make sense to do it again. And obviously there's no pattern established, but you always got to throw in that little caveat. There's no pattern, but I do feel like that is what kind of defines Legends Arceus.
Yeah, I know we have another person that raised their hand really quick, but Bram, I just wanted, you were talking about, what was it? The convergence or regional fakes before. I don't know if that was your original question, if you wanted to ask about it, but I think it's related to this topic. Like, I still think that we could get them instead of regional forms. I know it sounds disappointing, but I don't know.
It's not disappointing to me.
With the convergent thing, it was more that on Scala and again, I've been playing a bunch of different Pokemon games recently. I've gotten all back into it since the Pokemon Day announcement. So with the Pokedex entries for some of the convergent evolutions, they make it about the old Pokemon. And I just think it would be fun for them to say there's a Tentacool, say, in the new region or in Legends EA or whatever, and they go, this has similarities to a Pokemon known as Toadschool in a different region, and sort of play it the other way around, because we see them in sort of like chronological order, because that's how we've grown up with Pokemon.
Yeah.
So they always refer to the older ones, but it's not going to be how it works in the world. So I would love to see if they were talking about the other ones from that.
Yeah, I love that.
Sort of like the other way around, so we see the Pokedex entries.
I love that.
That's definitely...
No, I like that. It kind of reminds me of like how Alolan Executor, they debuted it by like saying like, this is the original Executor.
Totally. I think like one of the coolest things they could do in Gen 10, literally any gen, but like if just at some point when they want to do almost like a soft reboot, is to basically reorder the Pokedex, or like I don't know. There's just so many like inconsistencies as we've gone on generation to generation, where, you know what I'm saying? Like there's things that, like what you're saying, like if Alolan Executor is actually the original Executor, like I don't know. I feel like they just need to rehaul all the definitions, because they just don't make any sense to me.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I don't know, but
there are a lot of Pokemon that could use it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, for sure.
We just did like our fairy like video, the fairy type video, and I'm like, I had noticed immediately that it goes like Clefairy, Clefable, and then Cleffa. Like, It's right there. Just change Cleffa's order. It bothers me so much.
It's the national dex, bro.
I know, but like, why is the baby in Gen 2?
Because it came out in Gen 2.
I know, but like that's irrelevant. In the Pokemon universe, they all exist all at once. You know?
Well, here's the thing. If you were to get the Clefairy line in a game, it would be in the regional dex, and it would be Cleffa, Clefairy, Clefable.
Sure. That's true. And regional dexes, it's correct.
That's true.
Yeah.
They just need to make a new national dex.
No.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, no, they don't, because the national dex was cut anyways.
Yeah, that's true.
That's true. That's a good point. All right. Bram, I'm going to move on to another caller, but if you want to call back, just throw your hand up at any point. All right.
It's been great talking with you, man.
Yeah, dude. And thank you for all your support. Appreciate it.
It's been great talking to you, man. Thank you.
See you in a bit.
All right.
Yeah.
Bye.
Let's see if this works. Yeah, and we're going to get our next caller on right now. Frame's with us, but at any point, if you want to talk at any point, just throw up your hand. You can just leave it on, and then we'll move on to you at that point. But Frame, how you doing? Welcome.
Hey guys, hope you can hear me. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, dude. This is great.
We can hear you great. Your voice is crisp.
Awesome.
That mic good.
Well, it's Mike. It's just my phone, but working with what we. So I got a couple questions. First is my first main Pokemon break was throughout the entire 3DS era. So I played like everything until the end of Black 2, White 2, and towards the second half of Gen 5 is when I just kind of like got to that point in life where I started to fade out on Pokemon. And then when Sword and Shield came around on the Switch was when I picked it back up. And since I went back and I played Let's Go Pikachu as well. And then obviously I've stuck with every single Switch title since. But my question would be, because with Pokemon Legends Arceus, they released Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl with it. I've never played through the Gen 6 games, and how much of an impact do you think not having played the Gen 6 games might have on PLZA? And because it's not releasing as we don't know if they are releasing any other games along with PLZA right now, whether they might do Gen 5 remakes still, but do you think it would be a high priority to replay or for me play Gen 6 for a first time before PLZ?
I don't know how we've never thought of this. That is a great point, because I don't know. I mean, well, thinking about Legends, obviously it helped that I say Legends. I guess we gotta be specific now. Legends Arceus. We had Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl right before it. And I think the cool thing about that was obviously, like, you did like the Leonardo DiCaprio meme where it's like, ooh, that's, they're related to this person, right? But I would think it'd be like that. Like Legends Arceus, you don't need to play Diamond Pearl, Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl, Platinum. It just kind of helps you pick up some Easter eggs. Yeah, I would think it would be like that, especially because, like you said, I mean, I don't think they're releasing X and Y. I would love to be wrong on that. But, so I would think that you wouldn't need to, but like, if you did, you might pick up on some cool things that you otherwise wouldn't have.
Yeah, I think, I guess the main, so, like, do you have I'm trying to think of, like, there's obviously the pros. Like, if you have time to play the game, and you have money to play the game, and you have money to buy the game and it's in a system, 100%, I think it can only enhance your experience. I don't think you need to play X and Y. And then here's the thing. Also, personally, I'm not nostalgic for X and Y. I played a lot of X and Y in college.
You're a bad person.
Listen, I think it's a fine game. But for me, I don't think it's an essential game. That is for me, that's personal, whatever.
You mean like in the grand scheme of Pokemon?
In the grand scheme of Pokemon, yeah. In the grand scheme of Pokemon, I don't think it's like one of the best Pokemon games. So
you know what? I kind of agree with him though. That's kind of sad.
But bro, like
the slander.
Like I'm saying, like if you listen, I mean, I don't know. As a Pokemon fan, I get a lot of joy by filling those gaps for myself, right? I'm like, if I don't know about something, like it feels good to kind of be like, all right, let me play through this. I have this new knowledge right? That's something. It's nice. It's nice to know. And I imagine the Pokemon world is like every single game that I play is going to be informed by another one of the Pokemon games, right? They're just, I mean, they're all created by Game Freak, right? So they're all kind of like in connection. They're all kind of happening at the same time. But yeah, I think it comes down to whether or not you're able to dole out the money for a 3DS, for the games. You know, those. I think if you could figure out those things, and if you can afford those things, then yeah, I think it's definitely worth playing. I'm playing through X right now for the first time in years, and I am enjoying it. Yeah, I don't know, but
I'm about to do the same.
Yeah.
To answer your question, I think that it will affect it a little bit based on what like Lumi was saying, just because I think that they will probably do ancestors and or descendants of people from Kalos mostly, I would imagine. But
or
I don't
even
know,
just people from Kalos straight up appearing, like could be like relatively present day, so we see like an older Tierno, you know.
But also, I think that this game is going to have a lot to do with AZ. Like, I really think that they didn't name it ZA for no reason. So, like, I mean, I don't know if you know the story. I'm not going to just spoil it all for you right here. But, like, I think that will like, have a huge part in it. But you could find out that story by just reading something on the internet.
Yeah,
I don't know
you
if
could
that's
watch
how you
a
like
let's
to find out
That's
things.
totally true.
Yeah.
You could watch a let's
they'll
play,
they'll
right?
recap it, you know, like it's because, you know, that's a big character. There's, again, I won't spoil it, but there's a lot to that character. It's you know, he's definitely a very different character with a very different story than what we're used to with Pokemon. And so they're going to recap all that, you know, like they're not just going to be like, here's AZ and expect you to know everything about him.
But also, what's his face? The red-haired guy.
Lysander.
Blanking on his name.
Lysander.
Yes, Lysander. There might be some stuff about him because he's connected to AZ. But as far as Zygarde goes, we know nothing about Zygarde. So I think
we know nothing about him anyway.
Zero about Zygarde. So you're good.
Everything we know about Zygarde's from the anime.
Yeah. So
I've heard like all the names of like the important names of Gen 6, but I literally know nothing about any of them. I did subscribe to Soul's YouTube channel, and I've got the notifications. So when
heck yeah, man. Let's go.
There to maybe that'll be the best way for me to learn about it, because yeah, I don't think you know, with the Nintendo shop like closing down and kind of them just moving on from the 3DS, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense for me to invest money into a 3DS just to
absolutely.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to that for sure. I did really enjoy in Pokemon Legends Arceus, like when you visit a specific location, and I loved Gen 4 growing up. That was like my favorite game. That was like the height of my Pokemon, you know, as a kid. And being able to like see certain locations in Pokemon Legends Arceus and having like the reference of Gen 4 in BDSP, which I'm not super crazy about, and kind of sad that Gen 4 makes like that, but it's okay.
Yeah.
But like having clarity and like being able to see a certain spot or like a route, or, you know, and be like, oh my gosh, this is how they're interpreting this into Pokemon Legends Arceus, and I don't want to miss out on that in PLZA, because that is honestly one of the things that I enjoyed so much about Legends Arceus was having that.
Well, the good news is it's only Lumiose City, so you won't see other routes.
That's true.
Interesting.
I think for a long time, when I say a long time, I mean like maybe since I started making videos like 2 years ago. So for 2 years, I feel like my sentiment has kind of been like, do these newer games even need to be remade because they're all 3D? How much more 3D could they get, right?
I mean, you know, polished and like looking better and different. I think there's something special about exploring a region in a different art style too.
Yeah,
you know, because they change the art style with every game.
No, absolutely.
Actually, exactly what my second question was going to be. This would be my final question, but if you could split each generation up into like, you know, the layout of the game, but experience it in another generation's art style, I wanted to hear what each of you guys choose. Like, you know, for Lumi, maybe before the announcement of PLZA, you might have said, I would love to experience Gen 6, but in a Legends game. For me, one game that I think would be phenomenal is experiencing Generation 8 with like the Galar like map and everything, but in Pokemon Platinum 2D style. I think that would be a to play. So
no, absolutely.
I know Dusty's with you on that one.
Yeah, dude. I just learned recently that the new Dragon Quest game can switch between 3D and 2D effortlessly, flawlessly, with a switch of a button.
That's pretty cool.
And I'm like,
bro, that's a dream.
That's a dream, man. That is like that is ambitious.
That is wild.
Isn't that crazy?
Right. Like I remember you remember the GBA sounds from Heart Gold and Soul Silver? Yeah, like things like that go a long way. I would still say to see Kalos and honestly, like the Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee style would be so cool. Not the catching mechanics, but that art style. Because like even though we're getting Legend ZA is gonna be in the maybe in the Legend style. I guess we don't exactly know what the art style will look like, but it's just Lumio City. I love Lumio City. I love all of Kalos, but it's not my favorite part of Kalos. So I would love to see all of the region because the region's so vibrant and so beautiful. That was the goal. They wanted the region to be pretty because Kalos is like an ancient Greek word that means like beauty. Yeah. So it'd be cool to see that and that vibrant, colors popping style of Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee.
Sure.
That'd be my answer.
Oh, that's so hard to answer because I mean Dusty did like the cheating answer to me. It's like because it's like both. It's like both, Like I would take both where you could like swap between it. I don't know if you've seen James Turner's latest game. This isn't really an answer to your this isn't an answer to your question because it's a whole new style. Because I would love to see like a Pokemon game in like a hand drawn style. Something completely new like that. But if I'm gonna answer your question truthfully, like I would really
which region would you pick in the handmade style?
Oh, a Johto always. I always pick Johto.
Okay. I know. I'm kind of sad we didn't actually get a Johto game. Like, I'm thrilled that they're breaking patterns and we go to Kalos. That feels good. Mm-hmm. But I'm also kind of like, the safe bet with a Johto game would have been sick.
Yeah.
She'll be coming around the mountain when she comes.
Yeah.
It's easy for you to say.
I love Pokemon Frame. Like, I just love it. So, like, for me, it's like, I would do what you said. I would put Galar probably in, like, old, like, sprite style. That'd be epic.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm down with that. But then I'm also with, like, making a Johto game that's, like, hand-drawn or, like, in amazing graphics where you can, like, see everything. So I'm just, like, vice versa, whichever. I love Galar, so that's probably the one I would pick to go back to.
And honestly, that's really true because I think and again, this is before we got the announcement of ZA, where we were all expecting Gen 5. My big hope was either that the Gen 5 games, the return to Gen 5, will be the first return to 2D pixel art, or the other big candidate would be a Gen 6 game.
I think that's what's going to happen.
Yes, because Gen 6 is the first generation that doesn't have 2D models or whatever, right? It was like the first time everything was 3D. So I'm like, Gen 6 actually makes sense to be a return to pixel art if they're ever going to do it. Or there's no symbolism and they just do it whenever.
It's complete speculation, but like I think this whole like remake cycle thing is changing on purpose right now because they know that once they get to Gen 6, they're like, what are we going to do? Because it's already in 3D. Like they could just upscale kind of it, but I don't know. I think
Legends ZA having a whole game based in a city is the solution, right? It's not like let's make the whole thing bigger. It's like let's focus on one thing and like make it the best it can possibly be, right?
Yeah.
Well, I think you could take this would be more of a gameplay style than it would be an art style, but you can revisit these games and kind of do the region and the open world style because like that's the thing, right? Is every Pokemon game has been linear except for Scarlet and Violet. So now when we revisit Sinnoh, it's an open world Sinnoh. I can do the gyms in any order. An open world Johto, gyms in any order. Hoenn, and like Kalos, you could even do segmented open world would be easy because you have the central mountain coastal Kalos.
Yep. And
I think
and there's a market for it. Yeah, go on.
I think they could do it like that, but I really do agree that I think they have a gem there or a potential gem there of taking these regions that have only been done in 3D and reverting them back to the 2D. Like that is we're all so nostalgic for. I think it would make so many old in quotes Pokemon fans who those 2D games just I would love that. That's something that I'm hoping for. But yeah, I think
it's a dream right now. So
exactly.
Yeah. I don't necessarily think it's a dream though, because I think Pokemon has proven that they
I'm
want
not
it.
getting my hopes up at all for that.
I know, but I think the existence of a Legend style game was a cater to a different type of player who wants more action, more immersion. It's also kind of a testing ground. We know the whole song and dance. And then,
I think
the
only way
BDSP is also like a cheaper way to it is a type of catering. I think they were trying to appeal to a certain type of player. I think they were also trying to get away with something, right? With BDSP,
maybe
they were trying to get away with something.
Like I think there could have been a lot more.
Get away with
that.
Releasing crap.
Yeah, exactly. Like I think, but that to BDSP to me it seems like an answer or a response, or maybe only exists because of the success of that Legend of Legend of Zelda game. What is it? A Link to Link's Awakening remake, right?
Mm-hmm.
The little like toy style remake.
Yeah, I think that's. I think BDSP exists because of that game specifically. So, I do think there is.
I want to change my answer. I want all future Pokemon games in the BDSP style.
I've already made that video.
Have you?
Gosh.
Yeah. But I changed my mind.
That out.
I've played the game now, and I've changed my mind.
That's hilarious. Last thing I'll say about it is, I mean, unless we talk more about it, whatever. But I think the only way that we get those, because right now, by those I mean like sprite-based games of like newer games.
Yeah.
Sure. I think the only way is if fans like speak up a lot about it, because we've seen proof that Game Freak is actually listening to a lot of what like the feedback of what fans say. There's been articles that have been saying that they're listening, and obviously they're going to pick and choose what they're going to actually do. They're not going to listen to every single thing we say, but they have been. And I think that that's the only way. I think right now it doesn't seem like it's on their radar. There's nothing that gives any kind of proof that they would want to remake a new game in a sprite style. So unless we just keep talking about it on this podcast every single time and like pushing it out into the world,
which like maybe that'll work.
Yeah, no, I think it would.
Give
I
us
think if there was enough people that it would reach their ears, then I think it could happen. But for right now, that's my biggest, the only way that I see it. I could be wrong.
For sure, I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think ports actually. I meant to say this earlier. I don't know. I think it was with you. I think an X and Y port is unprecedented and just speculation, but I do think that'd be a really easy way. I think that's a possibility. I think an X and Y port is a possibility because I'm playing through X and Y right now, and I'm like, all they need to do is upscale this and just like clean out the lines. Literally port it. Like, don't remake it, but just port X and Y. Make it accessible on the Switch, and then that's a perfect companion game and a surprise at the end of the year, right? Or maybe this summer they go, hey, guess what? This game's coming out next year, but you get ports this year, right? And there's no Gen 5 game, or I don't know.
I did want to say something earlier about your first question frame. It actually brought up an idea in my mind, which it kind of really kills the whole like this game could be set in the future, Legend ZA, like, because what about people that haven't played X and Y?
Yeah.
You know,
isn't
that like you're just like, okay, so people that haven't played X and Y and a future X and Y game, Legends ZA, would be like a sequel to X and Y. Like the things that happened in X and Y would have to have an effect.
Yeah,
in this game.
where a prequel can stand alone and only enhance the story, right?
Yeah, I had that thought earlier. I was like, oh, that's actually a big point towards this.
Yeah.
I didn't think about it.
I think so. To, hold it in the future, that ports would just become that much more necessary. I would throw my money at Game Freak if they would just release ports on the Switch, because that's what I have, and I don't want to drop the amount of money that it costs to buy a 3DS and buy all the. So I love ports, but
no,
it's an interesting
100%.
thought.
It is really weird how there's been this stuff recently where they've taken down emulators. And it is so weird that they're sitting on not just Game Freak for the record, but all of Nintendo. They're sitting on a gold mine of these games, especially the DS and 3DS games that they're not porting to the Switch. And it's just dude, you could I'm trying to help you out. You could make so much money.
Yeah.
They
definitely hold them back to what do they call that? It's kind of an artificial scarcity, right? It's it gives their brand more money if they're unobtainable, because people want to play them, right?
Yeah.
I'm not defending it. I mean, it sucks. I have a lot. I'm I've collected these games. I've put myself in a position throughout my whole life where I'm okay, I've collected and held on to my Pokemon games, so I have access to them. But it is way more convenient to be able to play them on Switch. And then looking at where we are at right now with the 3DS and the DS, and Pokemon Bank, right? It would also be way more convenient to be able to play through these older games and then very easily port them over to the newer games. Or not port, but transfer them over to the newer games.
Even if I did have the 3DS and had all those games, with the state, I don't know exactly where it is now. Is Bank shut down?
Oh, that's actually funny because I think Cerebi posted something about that today. Yeah. It's not shutting down, but all of the 3DS it's online play is shutting down.
I'm pretty sure it's everything but Bank. But Bank could, but basically the understanding is
and it will at some point.
Yeah, the understanding is it will, but we just don't know when. They're going to be oh, sorry, it's down now. I feel like someone's going to log in one day and it's just going to be down.
And I think they want to wait till after Legends ZA because there's still some Pokemon that are locked off the Switch. You can only either get them from Go or the 3DS, specifically the Elemental Monkeys, the Patrat line, and Furfrou. So they're going to wait until Legends ZA. They'll definitely Furfrou will be back. The Elemental Monkeys and Patrat are both in the Kalos deck, so they could be back if these Gen 5 remakes do end up happening, then they would be back in that. Yeah. And then you close down the Bank. That way,
Sure. And if I did have a 3DS, just the fact that Bank will eventually close down one day is, I even if I had a 3DS and all the games, I would buy the ports just so I could have the Pokemon and that I use in the game and then move them over to other games and get to enjoy them more. That was such a huge feature that I love. I love being able to switch back and forth between different games and bring Pokemon over that I've used on playthroughs because I have an emotional connection to them, and I think that
no, I absolutely agree. Yeah, I don't think you're alone in that.
At some point, I will play Diamond and Pearl, and I will run into a shiny female Combee, and there will be no Pokemon Bank.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah,
but all right, Frame. Really appreciate you calling in. It's been great to get to know you a little bit in chat. We're gonna
great, man.
We're gonna move on to our next caller, but I am looking at some of you in the audience. No pressure, but Sampy, Hayes especially. You're a big supporter. We'd love to get you on. Noivy as
Frame,
well.
Though. Yeah. Frame. I'm starting that playthrough hopefully this week of X and Y. Yeah.
I'll be there. Thank you guys for all the content and got a big fan here, lifelong listener. So
appreciate that, man.
Awesome, man. Really good questions.
Yeah,
it's fun.
All right, Suba.
It's not like you're gone either. We can still hear you.
Yeah,
or see you.
Suba, how you doing, man?
Hello, guys.
Good to hear from you. How is it over the pond?
It's been pretty rainy as normal.
Yeah, same here. It snowed in New Hampshire this weekend.
It's been cold.
Yeah.
This week.
Well, it's sunny today though, so that's good.
Nice.
We need a bit of spring warmth here.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So do you have a question for us?
Yes, I do. I've got a couple of questions. Because there's one thing that's really been bothering. Because Legends ZA, which is happening.
It confuses me too.
I know it gets you like, is it Legends Z Arceus? It gets you muddled in the brain. This is my dream game, by the way. That's happening at the moment. I can't wait for this game because Zygarde is my favorite Pokemon. After all,
yes,
this is a game I have been waiting since or before Auras. Because is Pokemon Z going to happen after Auras?
Right.
Yes.
Because that was the speculation. Oh, Pokemon Legends, YZ and XZ. Yeah. So, what I've actually found out, there is no a trio legendary in Kalos.
Yes, no, that is a really good point. Yeah, Kalos was, I remember when it debuted, it was very clearly, I think it was the first time so basically every single generation introduced more and more legendaries, and then Kalos, when that debuted, there was like a staggeringly low amount of legendaries. We had 3 mythicals.
It was
and
just
3
the main
legendaries.
trio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think,
yeah,
I've seen some videos by Hoops and Hip Hop. I've seen a ton of artists. Yeah, I don't know exactly if you've created some art
not
around.
Yet, though, not yet.
Yeah,
not yet. But I know they brought the Kanto birds to the game.
They did.
There was like a replacement in some way.
Yeah.
So there's like, oh no, we got to make Pokemon X and Y quickly as possible to put it on the 3DS. We don't have time to make a trio. Just put them in the game because it'll be nostalgia for the fans. And basically, that's what it was. Basically, yeah.
Yeah. So do you think? Are you suggesting that we might see a new legendary trio in this Legends ZA game? Maybe there's some Pokemon that were active back in time, and then kind of went dormant.
So.
Maybe they're the A.
Yeah, they're the A.
Yeah, they're the A,
it's
like
the 3A,
ABC. Because I've been ABC, all the fifth and letters of the alphabet. That would be a bit impractical.
Arceus,
I agree.
Barceus,
yeah,
Carceus.
I agree that it would be impractical, but Suba, you should draw these.
Yeah.
You should just do an ABC trio.
That will take me forever. Well, I know someone
won't.
suggested
You go so fast.
You're the fastest person
You're
alive.
you're like a first 30-minute. We see something and you're like, oh, I drew it. It's not very good.
Suba,
and then it's like the best thing in the world.
Yeah,
I remember when Farigiraf leaked.
Yeah.
When Farigiraf leaked, I remember Suba made art of it so quickly that I have people telling me, no, it's fake. See, this artist drew it. And I'm like, no, you don't understand. I know him. He just drew it because he liked the design. He's just that good, I promise.
I think that tweet got like over 10 million views when that came out.
Oh, yeah, that was absurd, man. That thing went through the roof.
Yeah, then I just started keep on doing it. Yeah. And then, oh, look, another leak. Because it's been very dry at the moment. There is no news at all. The latest news we actually had was from the Pokemon Presents.
Yep.
And they have to bring out something to give it and feed us more, because the lowest of the low at the moment of people typing, oh, Pokemon Legends EA has been at lowest.
I mean, we've been yapping, but
I know it's been very difficult for a lot of Pokemon content creators like you guys, and even me. Even my art has been going down because no one's excited at the moment because it's so dry.
Yeah,
they need a press conference. That's what they need in the middle of the year.
So what do we think, guys? When do we think we're gonna get news for Legends ZA? Because I feel, just to set this up, I do think at some point this summer, if there's gonna be a game in 24, that they would give us some sort of like when I would assume the next Pokemon Presents, we could get a little bit more info.
I think early June.
Okay.
We will get if they're happening, then we will get the reveal of whatever a 2024 game is, whether that's an outsourced Black and White or something else entirely.
Yeah.
Or it could be nothing at all. But I think we would get the announcement of that, and then they would also give us the release date, like the official release date, like to the day of Legends EA.
Yeah.
And
it's
I
not
think
impossible.
they might even would show us the starters.
Yeah.
No,
well, that would be good.
I don't think so.
No.
I think it would be good. You said that would be good. That would be good. But I don't think that it would happen like that. I think if they do which I do think they're going to do another like little presents. Maybe it's not a presents, it's just an info update or something. But I think they'll announce whatever's for 2024 and whatever things they're working on. Like they haven't even announced the world's dates yet. I feel like that's a big thing. But I think at the end, maybe they'll be like, and don't forget about Legends ZA coming out in 2025. Maybe Max, they'll give us a date. Maybe. Yeah. But I don't think
I really think they'll give us a date. Legends Arceus, they gave us the date in late May. They gave us the Scarlet and Violet release date early June. They seem to like that sweet spot for giving us box art and the date.
Yeah, because the last time we had a press conference, I'm thinking of a press conference. The last time we had one was back in 2015, and they actually showed more information. Well, we actually had the showing of Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee during that time, and maybe was it? No, that was 2018, not 2015.
18, yeah.
I think it was 2018. Yeah, it was, and
it was.
Yeah, the last press conference was around then, and it's not impossible for them to show something else because they could give us. There is the Pokemon TCG game coming out soon because that's probably the most thing that's actually happening at this moment in this year.
Are you talking about the mobile game? I'm actually really excited for that.
The little mobile game, yeah.
That'll be.
Like, you can actually get immersed with the artwork. It's really nice.
That's really cool. Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to. I mean, it feels like an empty time. They dropped the bomb and they're just kind of like letting it cook. I think they'll be back sooner than we think with some hot information.
Yeah.
Suba, I'll ask you this and then we'll move on to our next caller. What kind of Zygarde forms do you think we'll receive in this game?
Now we can't go over a complete form, the 100% form, because that's the limit of where it can go. That's why I think it's impractical to go beyond that. I think. I know I made some designs of having like 10%, up 20%, 25%, 35, 50%, 75%.
That would be really
cool. All those ones, which would be good, which could work as well. But not every 1%, 2%, 3%, 4%. That's impractical.
Yeah, I think it would make a lot more sense because Zygarde did get its additional forms, but they were really only accessible in the Alola games. So I would say,
I never forgave them for that.
Yeah, well, I think in Legends ZA they're going to utilize those new forms and use them as if they have never been accessible, right? They're going to showcase the forms that already exist for Zygarde, and then what they're actually going to do is debut new forms for Xerneas and Yveltal. That's what I think.
Yeah, that'd be an interesting, like a fusion. Well, the thing is,
because they've never gotten love. They've never gotten new forms, right?
Yeah, like Yveltal and Xerneas, like they never got love. I totally agree. They need to do something like that. Maybe give them megas, but that would be kind of unbalancing. But it's not impossible because they don't really care. Game Freak doesn't care about balancing things.
Yeah, I don't think
they care about design wise and what the fans like want with designs and what legendaries need love and what do not need love. You know? Because we got like Mega Rayquaza, and that's absolutely broken.
No, absolutely.
You know?
Right.
Yeah.
I do like the idea of Zygarde getting like other forms for, like boss battles or stuff like that.
Yeah, if there's like 5 boss battles and the first one is maybe 10%, then maybe you have 25%.
That's a good concept. I like that.
Then 50%, like with the 75%, and 100%.
A bit like when we had the battle in Legends Arceus with Giratina.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
I
think that they will do something similar because it does have forms already.
Yeah,
it has plenty of forms.
And again, a lot of Zelda boss battles do that, where there's different iterations of like you start out fighting kind of a proxy for the boss, right? The dungeon boss. And then it kind of like I don't even know which one I'm thinking about. It goes into the water after you defeat the weaker version, and then the full monster kind of reveals itself. I can see something like that in this game, but yeah, dude, Suba, it's always good to talk to you. We see each other online all the time. Thanks for calling in, man.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, guys.
Give us those ABC arts, man.
Yeah, give me that. Yeah,
trio of legendaries is calling your name.
This is like a dream game for you, for sure.
Oh yeah, I've been waiting for this game. This is basically my Pokemon Z. Basically.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I think it is.
Game.
I was going to ask you. I was going to be like, how excited were you when it happened? Because like
I almost had a heart attack.
Yeah, you're the Zygarde.
Do you have a reaction video somewhere?
Well, I was reacting on the stream on the day, but I didn't stream because of the guidelines that Pokemon gave us. I will be probably streaming again when another like maybe presents happens, or like maybe they'll add something in the Nintendo Direct. They've done that before.
Yeah.
So yeah,
that's great, man. Thank you so much. We'll talk to you soon.
Definitely. See you later, guys.
See ya.
Good to talk to you, man.
Bye, Suba.
All right.
You don't have to leave the chat, Suba, either. You can
yeah, I think people are.
I thought we were saying bye.
I think you have to disconnect and get in to you have to hang up and come back.
Just say we're saying bye to people, but they're still in the chat.
Yeah, I just mean bye for chatting. But
bye
Dan,
for the speaking directly.
We got Dan, we got Sampy here. Longtime supporter. Honestly, I feel like a day. He actually might be.
How are you guys?
Dan, are you? I think you were our first supporter
ever.
I think you were.
I think Courtney was our first.
Oh, you're right.
But Dan was like right after.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was cutting in and out. Yeah, I've been around since the first episode.
Yeah, that's awesome, man.
You're first in our hearts.
But how you been, dude?
I love the penguin.
You might have to go on to that. Give me a quick second. Sorry, guys. I don't mean to interrupt. Is
that
better?
You're good.
Yeah, but all this
stuff.
No,
we can hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay.
So do you have a question?
I didn't have a question for you guys.
Okay.
No, but I just wanted to say thank you guys for what you guys have done. I'm not going to say you reinvented the wheel when it came to Pokemon content, but with the long form, it really does help keep most of us entertained throughout our day. I know a lot of us listen while we work, including myself, and some people while doing gaming and other stuff. And it's just been really interesting to watch you guys evolve as you've been going.
Dude,
thank you.
I'm getting a little emotional. I appreciate it, man. It's awesome.
It's great. Thank you for saying.
Thank you. I was going to keep it short and sweet.
Us. Yeah,
I appreciate it.
It's been a pleasure. You know what? It's been a pleasure to watch you guys.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks.
It's been a pleasure making content for all of y'all. I mean, seriously, we wouldn't do it if it wasn't for you guys, you know,
if you guys weren't showing up, we'd probably still be doing it, but
I don't know.
But it's not the same.
If we got like 400 subs, I think I might be like, all right, guys, I think this is dead.
We gave it a try.
And you guys don't see behind the scenes, but I can get pretty annoying for Lumi and Soul. I feel like sometimes I'm pulling teeth. I'll be like, all right, guys, we're going to do 4 podcasts this week, just on Tuesday. And they're always like, all right, I don't really know. But the fact that people show up and
we're
listen,
always having to reel them back in.
Yeah, the fact that you guys show up and listen, it definitely makes a huge difference.
Absolutely.
One of the best parts is getting to know you guys personally. Sorry to cut you off, Soul.
No.
Even on the secret powers, when you guys start talking a little bit more about your personal life, I know obviously you don't want to get into too much information when it comes to that. As time goes on, and slowly, secret power, you guys start to speak about personal things, and you know what? It's just easier to connect you guys. So it's always appreciated the fact that you guys always take that extra step.
Yeah, dude, you're the best. I appreciate it.
We love doing it, man, and it's amazing that you've been there since the beginning and seen it, because like we realized like later on, we're just like, oh, we kind of learned a lot since we first started,
right?
But it's
like I've gone back and listened. I think it was like October. I went back and listened to like our first episode, and I literally sent the post of them. I was like, all right, honestly, low key, first episode sucked. Like it is nothing compared to now.
Yeah,
it was good for a first episode.
I remember messaging one of you guys on Twitter when you first made the account. I'm like, can you guys put this on Spotify? And I think it was Dusty who sent me the link. I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys remember that.
I think I vaguely do. Yeah.
I do.
No, that's awesome.
So, you know what? It was always a great thing. It's one thing I look forward to every Thursday while I'm working. Especially the fact that it's an early release is great.
Awesome.
Yeah.
It's great to hear,
great.
man.
Yeah.
Thank you for saying all that.
Thank you.
I'm sad you don't have a question, but
no, you know what? I'm also a few episodes behind because I've been off work and taking care of personal things.
Yeah.
So it's just been, you know what? Once I'm caught up, I'll have actual questions, but I don't know what you answered yet and what you.
No, that's fine. We'll talk.
That's fair.
Tell us this: like, what are you most excited about? I mean, you've heard about Legends ZA, right?
Yes.
How far back are you?
Of course.
Yeah. So, what are you most excited for in this game?
Right now, episodes-wise, I'm at the point where you guys finished talking about Sword and Shield. Like, I just finished the final episode where you guys talk about the plot and everything. I didn't get into too much of the speculation. I think Dr. Lava's my next episode.
Sure.
But
I'm
excited. Yeah, so when I'm working, I'm definitely going to be having 2 full days of Hidden Path.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like from what you've seen about the trailer,
stockpile them.
like, is there anything that you're like, oh, I hope this happens in this new game?
The main thing for me is new megas, because you know what?
Okay.
I've never played X and Y.
Okay.
So it was always one of those things where I ended up buying 2DS after and playing Horizon. Yeah, it was, but I want to see what they managed to do going after.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's exciting for sure.
Obviously, when I didn't have a DS or 3DS at the time, we were able to watch everybody play. And everybody does the playthroughs. So that's why it's also so awesome that you guys do it so like the content so different.
Yeah, I really appreciate it, man. We think a lot about what we want to actually put out every week. I feel like we're always
table.
Yeah,
still need to do an X and Y retrospective, honestly.
We do, yeah.
That I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, we gotta.
The tier list always hilarious.
Lumi finished he finished like a new playthrough in like a week, and Soul hasn't even started, and I'm like stuck at the second
weekend.
badge. It's been like a month for me, so we got to finish the game, and then we can do the retrospective.
Yeah, it'll probably be me.
We'll be looking forward to it.
Yeah,
awesome, man. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Well, it was a pleasure. Have yourself a good one, and Dusty, happy birthday.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much, Dan.
Thank you.
Take care.
Appreciate it, dude. All right, who do we got next?
Touch my heart.
Yeah, I'm seeing. I mean, I'll be honest with you. Like, Jark's there. Discord's is abbreviating some of these names, so I can't see the full name of who it is. But I see Jark. I see Austonian. You guys can jump on anytime. There's a couple more people. Oh yeah, here we go. Yeah, Discord's abbreviating it, but let's see who this is.
While we're doing this, I have my window open. And
Hello.
I need to shut it.
Hey, welcome.
What's up, guys? How are you guys?
Good. Thank you for thanks for joining.
Thank you guys for having me for a bit. So I have a couple questions.
Yeah.
One, since with Legends VA, and you guys have been talking about Mega Evolutions, you guys had to choose a Pokemon who hasn't been Mega Evolved. Who would you want to? Which Pokemon would you like to have?
Oh, this is a good question. All right, so if we could pick any Pokemon that doesn't have a Mega Evolution to get a new Mega Evolution, who would you pick, Lumi?
I mean, Dragonite, absolutely.
Yeah, that's true.
It is the only pseudo. Dragapult, and Excalibur are the only pseudos to not have something. All the others have a regional variant, Paradox, a Mega Evolution, or just something along those lines. Dragonite has nothing. Excalibur has nothing. Dragapult has nothing. But Excalibur and Dragapult are so new.
Yeah.
And Dragonite has been here since day one with nothing.
Yeah, but maybe they think it's perfect already. Maybe
they might.
Just
that's so true. Because Mega's like, what is the point of a Mega? The Mega is supposed to perfect the design, right?
I don't think so. I think it's supposed to enhance aspects of the design.
Yeah, continue aspects. Okay, further a certain aspect. All right, that makes sense. I mean, no hate to Hoops or the artist, but Hoops in hip hop just debuted a new Mega Evolution for Dragonite, and I don't like it as much. It changes the body proportions to look a little bit more. I think it maybe got the fighting type. I didn't watch the video yet, but I didn't love it. The design looked to kind of lean on the fact that it was like a superhero because it like developed a cape, which is an interesting way to go about it. Yeah, honestly, that is pretty cool. And actually, I gotta watch the video because maybe it's related to Lance because Lance has a cape. So it's almost like a battle bond. All right. To answer the question, I think I would want to have... Bro, come on. I want Gogoat to get some love. That would be pretty sick.
I knew it was coming.
That would be pretty sick.
Yeah, I thought about that too, Gogoat.
I mean, that'd be great.
That's funny.
Yeah. I mean, Scizor already got a Mega. Sableye already got a Mega. Kangaskhan already got a Mega.
Kleavor is a good choice too, though.
That would be cool. Yeah.
Kleavor is a really good one.
Yeah, I think Mega Leavanny would be interesting.
Yes.
Would it though?
No.
It's sharpness.
It just has more.
Stop it, Soul.
It'll have like a whole dress of leaves.
When I do this, I usually like try to go search like Mega Livani and see what people have come up with. It doesn't really pan out that well because I don't know, Google doesn't get like all of the people on Instagram's posts or something for some reason, you know? It's lame. But it's hard finding like really good megas. Not to just go off of what Dusty said with Hoops's design. Design. It's tough to make a really good mega sometimes. Like it's hard. I mean, Suba can probably attest to this, and he's just making all kinds of stuff all the time. You know, because people have different tastes. But picking a mega is even harder. just one singular one. I really feel like Dugong is my pick. Is that crazy?
Really? I'd have thought you said for alligator.
No, I don't even think that. You know, that's a great point because I don't think I've ever seen a mega for alligator like Fakemon that I've enjoyed. I've never seen. I can't picture, and it's not their fault. It's like I can't picture what a mega for alligator would be.
What do you think it's like latent type would be? I could see dark type. I also could see fighting type. I would love if dragon. Mega for alligator goes on all
it's
fours.
A reptile. They could throw dragon on us.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. But it learns dark type moves naturally. It learns ice type moves naturally. I would love
Dragon Dance is an egg move.
Yeah, that's true. I think if they put it on all fours, it just kind of gets so big that it has to be on all fours. Kind of like Mega Swampert.
Bro,
if they made it crawls around. It's like a raptor, dude. It's so cool.
If they made it a dragon type and gave it like big dragon wings, and then they put like water on its tail.
but like that has nothing to do. Dude,
it would be Charizard. It would literally be a Charizard.
But isn't that the best Mega Evolution?
That's
just
funny.
Making it Charizard. That's everybody saying Mega Charizard Z, but what it actually is every new Mega Evolution is just gonna look exactly like Charizard.
Yeah. Mega Pikachu Z. Dude, we need a Pikachu evolution. I mean Mega Evolution.
We have Raichu.
The Gorochu Raichu would be cool. To answer your question, I think either Dugong or maybe Ledian, but people are convincing me that Ledian should get an evolution instead, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Because Ledian's like
the Mega can't make its stats good, man. It needs an evolution and then a Mega.
Yeah.
Don't some Megas like really fix their stats though? There's some that really improve.
The issue is that they only add 100 like to the total.
But
they will sometimes, like with Garchomp, they took some from speed and put it on attack. So like, you know, they changed it up a
and
little
with
bit more.
Mega Beedrill, I'm pretty sure they min-maxed all of its stats. Like it put all of its special attack into its attack, and then they got an additional 100. So Mega Beedrill is like, I mean, it still is limited.
But like with Ledian, it has 390. It has a horrible typing and bug flying. So maybe if they gave it a different typing, a really good ability, and then gave it a Mega, maybe it could work. But it still wouldn't be like a broken Mega. It would just be like a usable Mega, like Mega Pinsir.
Who's to say we don't get collision? I guess it could just be regular. Yeah, who's to say we don't get regular evolutions? And then that new evolution that debuts in this new game gets a Mega Evolution, right?
Be pretty wild.
Because in Legends Arceus, we got all of these new regional forms that became the, what are they called? The totem fights, right?
The nobles.
Yeah, like Scyther got a new evolution as Cleavor, and then became a noble Pokemon, right? Which, in a way, is similar canonically to Mega Evolution because it's a Pokemon in an enraged temporary state.
I really hope and pray that they still do evolutions. It doesn't really make sense, but
me too.
Hope.
Yeah,
I do too. Because there's some. I think there's like honestly, I think Gogoat's a great example of what I think about here. There's some Pokemon that I feel like could go further, and there's some Pokemon that I feel like it just has some attributes that need to be enhanced. Like Gogoat, I don't think an evolution for Gogoat would work. I think that Gogoat looks complete and just needs a Mega to kind of enhance its design and enhance its stats. But then there's some Pokemon that just look incomplete. Like for example, Aromatisse. I was going to say Carbink. Carbink is a Pokemon that I think perfect. It looks incomplete. It could go further.
I agree. But yeah.
Did we ask him what Pokemon would you like to get a Mega Evolution?
Maybe Primate.
Oh yes.
Dude, that would be so sick.
Dude, it gets so enraged that it comes back to life.
It's now undead.
First it got so mad that it died, and then it gets even more mad.
It's so angry its heart starts beating again.
Yeah.
It's a zombie now.
That's funny, dude.
So my second question would be, since I started doing split evolutions, which other Pokemon would you see will get a split?
Oh,
evolution?
I got this. Yeah. So if we could get if they start doing so if any Pokemon could get a split evolution, what would you pick? Interesting.
So it would have to have another evolution already, though. So that's the thing. It's a branched evolution,
which is cool because it kind of like informs
I need to like pull up
what
a
it
list.
could be. Mine right here is Steelix. I would love Onyx to get a new evolution. I actually designed one on my channel.
Sure.
Where it became like rather than maintaining the rock type, Onyx now maintains the ground type, and over the course of a millennia, right? Whatever kind of.
That's what happened with Steelix. It maintained the ground type, not the rock type.
So instead, all of this erosion happens, and when you fuse it with the Dragon Stone or the Dragon Scale, it gets a Dragon typing. So Dragon ground type, which is like Garchomp. But I made a really cool design.
Flygon.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's neat. I think I have a better answer than this, but I can't think of it.
Oh, I thought
so I'm gonna say Spritzy. No. And so I'm gonna say Spritzy. I think I have something.
I'm down with that.
I probably, but like give Spritzy like a more flamingo plague doctor versus whatever Aromatisse is trying to be.
I would be fine even if it was just like a fluttery type of bird like Altaria. That'd be fine too.
Yeah, no, I think I've seen fan art before of like someone was doing some kind of region. I don't remember if it was like a Caribbean region. You know how a lot of fake mon artists will do like a region and they'll do like a region dex and all. And someone did, I don't remember if it was an African region or a Caribbean region or what, but they did a flamingo evolution to Spritzy and it was really good. And like I think they even kind of incorporated flamenco into it, maybe. I don't know. But either way, regardless, I can't remember the design, but I remember one day seeing like a Spritzy split evo and being like, oh, that is really cool.
Yeah. I think that's a great idea. I'm looking through like the list of Pokemon right now, but I think I've got a few. I like Lumi. I would need more time to just like look over everything and pick the one. But off the top of my head, I was thinking about Duraludon getting a Lumiose Tower split evolution instead of Archaludon. Like it would have Archaludon already, but it would be like Duraludon evolves into this tower.
And the evolutionary item could be like blueprints.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. It would fit this a lot.
Yeah.
My other one though, like the one that's probably like dear to my heart as I was looking through that was Dunsparce getting a split evolution.
So it's a snake with two heads.
I don't know.
It's just a Dunsparce with two heads.
No, it's got 5 segments.
No, it's the Dunsparce evolution that everyone always wanted, where it's like some kind of crazy angel thing. Dragon.
That's never happening.
A biblically accurate Dunsparce.
I think I had a dream that I was playing my Heart Gold playthrough, or like I was playing my file. I think it was actually Soul Silver. Anyways. And I like ran into a Dunsparce, and I was like, "Whoa, this is amazing!" It wasn't shiny, it wasn't a high level or anything. That's the dream I'm remembering right now, which is pretty inconsequential. But I guess it's just a Dunsparce, and Dunsparce is awesome.
Yeah, I agree. Those are my picks.
What about your picks?
Probably Pidgeotto.
Yes, dude.
You know,
it would be a different type of regional bird. You only really see him back in console. You haven't seen him again.
What
see a different version.
What kind of bird do you think it'd be based on? Or like maybe like can you describe like the colors or how it would differ from Pidgeot? Because Pidgeot's pretty sick.
Yeah, Pidgeot's pretty sick. I would say more of a sky blue and like a little bit like Articuno's color, and type maybe an ice steel type.
Oh,
would be nice.
I like that. So in Mega Pidgeot, there's a little bit of blue that they add in its main.
Yeah.
So I kind of imagine now this split evolution being primarily, or having the main that's primarily blue and white, and then having like a little bit of red in it to kind of reference the genes from Pidgeotto and Pidgeot. That'd be really cool.
I feel like
for sure
it would have to be very different though, Dusty. I don't think it would look like Pidgeot at all. It would be a different vibe because it's a different evolution. Yeah, it's a split evolution. Like Cleavor and Scizor don't look at all like, you know what I mean? But I mean they are both birds. So, but I love like the blue. Whatever's coming in my mind right here is like incredible looking. So that's a good.
I'm always here for more birds.
Yeah, they need more birds, more cooler birds. Corvik's Night was nice. I enjoyed it.
Oh yeah, Corviknight's great.
And my last question. Sorry about that.
No, you're good. You're good.
If you had to see, since we're going back in time, theory going back in time to past Lumio City, do you think we're gonna see more Paradox Pokemons? And which Pokemon would you like to see?
Yeah, so if there were more Paradox Pokemon in Pokemon Legends ZA, if we go back in time, I
do not personally think we'll see any, just because they've stated that Paradox Pokemon are not from the past, but from an alternate timeline. But if we saw some, I would like to see a like Latios hybrid that kind of nods to the Mega. I think that would be neat. Big Lottie fan, so.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
I'll answer your first question. I do think that there's a chance that Paradox Pokemon could be in this because it is a Gen 9 game. But it is not really related. It depends because we don't know like what this game is going to entail. So it could like have something to do with Paldea. You know, maybe they're neighbors. Maybe it has something. There's Paradox Pokemon coming out of a portal, just like in Sword and Shield, like the Ultra Beasts. You know, anything could happen. I think there's a possibility. I don't think it's that likely, but because I feel like they just did it, so they probably don't want to keep going. I don't know, but if one got one, I would probably be really boring and say the same thing I just said. I should have saved this for this question if I knew it was coming, but I would have Dunsparce get a past Paradox.
Sure.
Bro, I love Dunsparce, right? So, and there's this
I can see with like the red mane, like the red
spikes
there's a
dex entry though. Yeah, there's a dex entry that says that it used to fly around in ancient times. And I thought that was going to be a Paradox eventually.
What if we get Mega Dunsparce with those primal genes that activate and it gets these massive wings and then fire on its tail? And it becomes Charizard.
And it becomes I mean, it has wings.
That's epic, like dude. Yeah.
Puffy wings.
I think it took me a while to kind of like get on board with Paradox Pokemon because when we were first introduced to them, I think a lot of people assumed they were going to be like they were going to look like regional forms, and the fact that they don't is actually better, I think. And I love the idea that they're standalone. I love the idea that they aren't actually forms. So that's all great. But it kind of I almost feel like empty inside now because I kind of love the concept and I feel like they could have done so much more, right? Or in a good way, a lot of the Paradox Pokemon we got were like kind of inconsequential. Like, what the heck is a Fluttermane? Why is Misdreavus getting attention over literally anything else? So it does kind of have me thinking like, yeah, there's so much missed potential with Paradox Pokemon. And literally, you pick any of my favorites, that's who should get a past Paradox or a future Paradox. Like past Paradox Scizor, come on, dude. Past Paradox Scyther. I mean, they're kind of already past Paradox, but just make them more ferocious.
This is a great question because I can just be like,
I can picture
I'll
all
take
of them.
Dusty's. I can take Dusty's too with me.
yeah. We all get a pick, and we all like all.
We all get it. They all come true.
Yeah, dude. Past Paradox, Sceptile. Oh, come on, dude. It just is a raptor, scissor, but all right, man.
The scissor one.
Yeah. Well, thank you for calling in. Thank you for supporting us. We're gonna move on to our next caller now. Maybe there's a way that I can just click your name and pop you out of here. I'm not really sure, and so you don't have to leave the chat or whatever. But I'm not really sure how to do it.
Thank you so much for the questions.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Did you figure it out?
I did figure it out.
Yeah, I think he just moved him.
Good job.
We're gonna do.
We didn't mean to move you.
They should still be able to hear us. I
know he could hear us, but he didn't get to say bye.
Let's see.
He tried
for the questions, bro.
Jark, I'm trying to add you right now. I might have clicked the wrong button. It says you're requested to speak. It says you're in it.
I think Draco had been there a while. I don't know if you.
Yeah, we can get Draco in. I'm just trying to get to Patreon and YouTube channel member supporters first.
Jark said he's not going to be able to for a second.
All right, let's get Draco in. Yeah, Draco's a friend. Draco's part of the family, but Draco, we got to get the supporters in first. I'm trying to look for Draco's request.
It's there. Little hand's been there.
Here, I've got it.
Did you get him in?
I clicked invite to speak, but now it's like nothing.
Here we go.
There he is.
What's up, Draco?
Oh, he said I can't talk, but my question is, what are your thoughts about Pokemon Works? Oh, I love this though.
Okay. Yeah, let's talk about it. Here, Draco.
Do you want to read it?
I'm going to move you back to the audience. Yeah, let me read it. All right. So Draco says, I can't talk, but my question is, what are your thoughts on Pokemon Works? Could we maybe be seeing games more in line with Gale of Darkness, with ILCA Ilka's success with One Piece Odyssey? Also, when we going to collab? LOL. Just slip in that public pressure right there.
Yeah, that's smart.
Yeah, dude. Thanks.
We have such a long list of. We're just like trying to get everyone, but we're also trying to like make our own content.
Yeah.
At the same time, because we don't want to like oversaturate the whole thing with guests as well.
And another thing we're trying to do, and this ends up being unfair to like all of the Pokemon friends or the Pokemon people, but like we're also trying to have on people who aren't just Pokemon creators, right? Like I just met a ton of people at PAX who do they do Pokemon content, but it's like outside of our theory crafting wheel. And then I've also met some people that are like, kind of like Jake, who do gaming more broadly, which means that also divides the pie. So we can't just have all of our friends on. But anyways.
We also have had a lot of scheduled guests and had to they've had to reschedule.
Yeah, but we got some big names coming up in the next 2 months. I guess shameless plug.
I won't say who, but one rhymes with Junichi Masuda.
And one rhymes with...
I didn't expect that.
Yeah. I thought you were actually going to spoil something.
I thought he was too.
Yeah.
Oh, man. All right, this question, though, is a good question.
Yeah, take it away.
Mm-hmm.
Take it away.
So it was a GAM. What are your thoughts about Pokemon Works? And could we maybe see games more in line with Gale of Darkness? I can answer this while you're thinking on it.
Yeah.
I don't know if I feel like they'll just have Works working on remakes primarily for now, though it would be cool if they start making spin-off things like Gale of Darkness. But I think Pokemon Works is I think it's one of the best things. I genuinely think it's one of the best things to happen to the Pokemon
We should
franchise
honestly do an episode on it.
We should.
Yeah.
We should do a whole episode on it. But I think that it's going to, for one, it allows quality control. Game Freak is right there watching over their stuff, which is very important. Then for two, and I think this is maybe even the more important thing, is that we see now that Game Freak likes to, with new Pokemon games, introduce new either forms or Pokemon and new designs. But Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl didn't give that, and a lot of people thought that was really dumb, especially because then immediately after we get new forms of Dialga and Palkia and Legends. So I think that since it's now not outsourced to a completely third-party company, but rather to a company that Pokemon also has stake in, they might now allow for new designs to exist in remakes or in spin-offs or whatever that happens. So now, when we get our, traditional black and white remakes, our traditional Johto remakes, whatever happens, there is now a much higher chance that we could see new Pokemon in it, that we could see the original Dragon in it, that we could see Unovan forms in it.
I love that because it kind of frees them up, or it frees them up, but it also brings them closer to the actual engine of it all, right?
Yeah.
They're playing like inside.
It's great only that you said that. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if it's only good, but I do agree with what you're saying. You probably thought of that way sooner than me. I thought about it like, I don't know, when was it announced or revealed, but it was a couple of days after, and I was like,
yeah, but I thought of it just
my
right
goodness.
Now. Like,
no, I thought of it like the second it happened. At first, I was like, "Ew, Ilka," and then I was like, "Wait,"
Yeah.
I didn't. I was thinking that it's kind of a part of Game Freak now, so it's like a third team, right? Exactly. So that's a big deal. But it didn't click with me that until like a few days later. I was like, wait. This means if they do the black and white remakes, we could get the original Dragon because there's actual Game Freak people there now. It's not right. It's not Ilka. That's the thing. Like, it's not just Ilka.
Like Ilka wasn't the problem, right?
Well, we should get into that, but
that's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah, that's a whole nother conversation. But the point is, what Lumi just said is that they can now create. They have some creative. What's the right word? Abilities, I guess, but liberties. They have creative liberties to make a Pokemon. They have some designers. They could be like, hey, can you like design this for me from somebody at Game Freak, because they have connections. They talk now like this, and they're allowed to. So it's a big deal to like we could get new Pokemon from basically an Ilka Game Freak team. It's their own thing. It's not just Ilka, it's Pokemon Works.
Yep. This is like last year,
and even like a change of stories and features, like Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl. Another thing was people, because at the time that it was about to come out, Ash had a Mega Lucario and Cynthia actually had a Mega Garchomp. So there were a lot of people going like, oh, maybe Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl will have Megas. It obviously didn't. But I think that's like another benefit of it too, is like they probably didn't want Ilka to do Mega Evolution because it was like, hey guys, actually just make it the way it was. Don't change anything. Or don't change big things like that. And now they can have those liberties because it's the Pokemon company working on it.
Yep. It's wild. There's a lot to be said about it. As for like what you were saying with like the success of One Piece Odyssey, so many people, there's been this narrative of like Ilka being they're actually good, and it was Game Freak that put pressure on them and they couldn't do anything and all that. Yeah. yes to an extent, but also they messed up a lot of stuff. Yeah. And
they continue
They made a game on an engine that was not compatible with a system they
created.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not just BDSP, because a lot of people are like, well, it was just that game and it was because of Game Freak and Nintendo or the Pokemon company that pressured them. But they have been running Home for this entire time, and Home has been a mess. Even today, somebody posted some bug in Home that I was like, oh, is this Ilka, the same team that everyone was just praising about One Piece Odyssey?
I also think Pokemon Home is just like, since its launch, just functionally, it's not very intuitive. It's not very fun to navigate.
It's false advertising.
And they could do so much more. They could do so much more than what they've been doing.
Yeah. Let's we
got to do a whole podcast on this.
Yeah, definitely. Hayes is requesting to speak, but Jark, you were first in line, and I think we already invited you. So I don't know if we can invite you again, but here we go. Jark's in.
There he is.
We'll get to you, Hayes. Yeah, Jark, what's up? Welcome.
What's up? Oh. Sorry, it might be loud.
How you doing?
Can you hear me all right and everything?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yep.
Yeah.
Nice. I had a question actually. So one of my favorite things in Legends Arceus was like it was a Sinnoh game first and foremost, but there was so much there for like other fans of the series. Like there was so much other references to different games. Like even the starter choice was like you had one from the Game Boy era, DS era, 3DS. So I was going to ask, what are you looking forward to the most that's not going to be a Gen 6 reference?
I think I want to see Gen 3 stuff. I think I want to see Gen 3 stuff. I think, well, specifically, I guess Hoenn content, right? I want to see Hoenn references. Anything from Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire, I don't think people are talking enough about. I think a lot of things that were in Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire are direct explanations or continuations of certain plot points in X and Y, right? We learn about the timelines. We get the whole story with Zinnia and Mega. What is it called? In the Infinity Energy, right? I think we're very likely to see primal forms of some of the legendaries that are in X and Y, right? Xerneas in Evoltal. But also, I love the Hoenn region. I'd love to see Johto
related.
as well.
That's cheating.
Is that Gen 6? I guess that's true. If we're talking about generations,
definitely Gen 6.
Yeah, no, I know, but I think all the content in Hoenn is what I'm looking forward to just get this conversation started. And I think I'm also excited to. I think we're also going to see a lot of Gen 5 stuff.
Sure. I think so. I have two answers to this question because I cannot pick between the two. One is obviously new megas because I think there will be megas for Pokemon outside of Gen 6. I really hope we see megas for some Gen 7 and 8, maybe even 9, but especially 7 and 8 mons. But then also the character stuff, because like Legends Arceus, while set in Sinnoh of old, there were characters that were ancestors to non-Sinnoh characters like Ian or Leon being an ancestor to Clay. And so I'm excited to see the ancestors, because I always think that's cool, especially because like they had Charm confirm that Bertha and Agatha are related, which is just so cool. Things like that go a long way for me. And then if we do, they could always not give us one, but if they give us another Faller, that could potentially be a non-Kalos character, because Ingo definitely isn't a Sinnoh character. And that's exciting. I love the Faller stuff. If they give us one of those, I'd be very excited about that.
Yeah. I think that they will give us the most. There will be Gen 5 stuff. Unova. I think that's they're going to connect them a lot, I think. This is all based if like the remakes do come out this year, especially. Like that would be like a no-brainer for me. But the one that I want to see the most is actually Galar. Because, France and England, the whole thing. I would love to see that. I could see them doing more Paldea stuff too, because it is the same generation. Like they did kind of I'm thinking about Legends Arceus, and like they did add some Galar stuff in that. I guess like the Professor, and such, because it was the same generation. You're like, oh wow, like the Galarian Weezing is on the main building there in Jubilife. But I think Galar is the one that I would want to see the most, though, because I just really love Galar designs and Galar, all of that.
Galar was like a good region.
The people and everything.
It's really pretty.
Great region.
Yeah. I think to that extent we could also see probably references to Scarlet and Violet in the Paldean region, right?
Yeah, no, I think they will. I think like Gen 9 and 5 are the ones that I think we'll see the most. I think Gen 8 could make a lot of sense, just because it's basically the only one where we're like, these guys are actually neighbors. Like we assume it, like there's no confirmation, but Kalos is northern France, and so it would be closer to Galar than it would be to Paldea, because Paldea is way further south. But.
Yeah, Frame is writing Gen 8 Megas. That got me thinking, what if they reinterpret some of the designs, some of the Gigantamax designs of Gen 8 into Mega forms, right?
Yeah, I have thought
that'd be kind of cool.
They very well could. I mean, you had Gmax Gengar was clearly a reference to Mega Gengar.
Yeah.
So now maybe we get, a Mega Orbeetle that's a reference to Gigantamax Orbeetle, things like that.
Yeah.
Vice versa, by the way.
Oh, sorry, go on.
No. What were you saying?
I was going to say, like, if we do get like Z forms for Megas, I think a lot of them could be references to Gigantamax. Maybe, I I don't know, like other regional forms and things that Pokemon have gotten since Gen 6.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Give me a Bug Dragon Cinescorch Mega that references the
Dude,
G-Max.
Please. It works both ways because of Hydrapple. Like, Hydrapple is basically literally, it's almost literally the G-Max of Flapple and Appleton. It's very similar. It just doesn't have the other heads, but it's basically the same thing, just better. So, yeah.
And permanent.
Yeah, I think
for me, for me, the thing I'm most looking forward to is probably Gen 7 tie-ins. I think Gen 3 as well, like, of course, with all of the Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire stuff. But just because you had, like, Cena and Dexio and Zygarde in Gen 7, you kind of get the opposite of that. Maybe get, like, a Zygarde form that references, like, Necrozma or something. Maybe we could get characters like Lily. Like ancestors to like
Lily would be cool
if it was like
for sure,
because they're very French themed characters. I always thought that when I played the games.
Yeah,
even
I can see that. I can see that. That's a really good observation. I think also like I don't know if this is what you were implying, but like a lot of the storylines that were supposed to continue in a Z version were just thrown into a Sun and Moon. So I think that makes total sense. I think we're gonna see. I think it'd be cool if what's his name? The scientist in Colress. If Colress was a faller, that'd be really cool. Or maybe one of his ancestors, right?
I definitely think something I'm expecting for sure, if it's going to be like Legends Arceus, is that we'll see some Gen 7 characters just to reference the fact that so many of the plot lines got picked up in that game.
Mm.
And of course, Gen 7 Megas, like that would be a dream.
Yeah, man. Honestly, I
do think that that's going to happen, though. I don't know why people think that that's not going to happen, but I think Gen 7 and 8 Megas are very possible.
Yeah.
Very.
I agree.
I just want to see Galar flip the right way up next to Kalos.
Yeah. I bet that is annoying for you, isn't it?
It kind of is, yeah.
Well, it's weird too because like you have the Crown Tundra is the coldest part of the region, but it's south.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe is it meant to be south or is it just like a perspective thing? We just see it up.
Maybe it is a perspective thing.
You start near Scotland, so like they wanted to make it so you start at the bottom and work your way up.
Yeah, that's interesting. But in other regions, you do work your way down sometimes. Well, maybe not.
And as well, if you think about it, like it's called the Crown Tundra, which would imply that it's the top.
Yeah.
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 Unless
but there's also cold at the top too.
Listen, unless we're completely
there's some
wrong.
cold, but like Winden isn't.
Yeah.
The other thing, and I think this is a Toby theory, is that the legendary birds are found in the Crown Tundra.
Yeah, that's true.
The legendary birds are found in the Crown Tundra, and you find Lugia, or is it like one of the birds in that cave in Kalos that would be near England?
Yeah, you do find one of the birds, and you find the birds rotate around, but if you can get them to the Azure Bay, they'll rest in the cave.
So if they
that's true.
They'd go from the Azure Bay to the Crown Tundra.
And the thing is about that cave, the Azure Bay, is that if you're looking at the real world, it would be in the channel between France and the UK.
Yeah, exactly.
Very cool.
Yeah, that was everything.
I love that.
Wow.
That's good.
Very nice to talk to you.
Maybe before you go, I'm just thinking, like, maybe we're completely wrong about the map, and Galar's like in the southern hemisphere of the Pokemon world, and it's
it could
be.
be.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
it's completely given up on making it like real life.
Yeah, like
I
it's not real life,
real.
and it's actually down on the bottom. So the bottom of the Earth is cold, so top, bottom.
Yeah, that's true.
Could be.
It could be
Anyway.
like that. Yeah.
We'll
I mean, it's also like there's different physics and stuff, so they really could play around with a lot of it. But yeah, Jark, it's really great to hear from you. Thank you so much for just all of your continued support and just watching every week, leaving comments. We really appreciate you, man.
We see you out there.
All right, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jark.
Bye-bye.
See you, man.
Bye.
All right. Hayes, welcome.
What's up?
Can you hear us?
Hello.
Yo, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. It's a little muffled, but yeah.
Do you have a question?
No, we don't hear him.
Yeah.
Is it better now?
Yeah, much better.
Yeah.
A little bit better, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. How are you guys?
Very good, man. Thank you so
Very
much
good.
for
How
all
are
your
you?
support. Yeah, we're doing great.
Oh, anytime. Yeah, that's why I was trying to not join. I don't have the best of connections.
Sure.
Uh,
But it's good to hear you.
but likewise. I did have a question.
Yeah.
Any Pokemon game, or particularly Legends game, does it necessarily need to start the Pokemon?
Yeah.
You're asking, does it necessarily need one?
Yes.
I guess not.
I mean, I don't think so. They could always change it up on us, especially on a on like an experimental game like Legends. I do feel like it's gotta have it in the not core series, because Legends is core series, but you know what I mean, the Scarlet and Violet, the X and Y, the Sword and Shield. But I feel like if they wanted to give us, I mean, think about it. Let's go.
Yep.
Your starter is a Pikachu or an Eevee, and it's decided by the game you pick, not by
I was gonna say, yeah, there are a lot of there's a lot of games that you don't really get a choice of your starter once you actually start a new file. Another example is Pokemon Colosseum, right? You don't get either. You just get two starters. You get an Espeon and an Umbreon. They're already evolved. Yeah. So I mean, I guess in a way that is a starter, but that's not a choice of three starters. Let me think of some other examples. Because that is
Dan said in the chat, mystery dungeon, and that you start as a Pokemon, but it's not really a choice. It's like a quiz to assess your personality.
Sure. I would argue that is a choice, because you could cheese it. You could pick the right thing, right? You could look up the guide to figure out what
You could, but the intention is for it to not be a choice.
Yeah.
I definitely did that, because I was like, I'm not being some dumb Pokemon I don't want to be.
Yeah, I'm not being Cubone.
To this entire game. I think to answer your question,
Skitty and never picked up Mystery Dungeon again.
No, I like Skitty actually. But to answer your question, I think that Game Freak can do whatever they want. I say it all the time. They can change whatever they want, however they want. But the starters are such a huge part of Pokemon. So I think that
also
it
their
would take
marketing.
a lot. What?
I think starters are kind of twofold. For Game Freak, historically, they've always just been like a big point, a big marketing point, right? It's like when you reveal those starters, that is when someone initially, so every decision, a Pokemon is all about making decisions, and every time a decision or an option is presented in front of a player, our brains automatically want to make a decision right there. Even if we're not pronouncing or announcing to the world what our decision is, we're thinking in our head, well, I guess I would choose this one. I just have a natural preference to the fire type, right? Which is and then all of those decisions get presented to us in a hype cycle, where at the end of it, we're like, well, I guess I want all of these three things, right? So I feel like it works on a marketing level, but also I think functionally a starter Pokemon is kind of it's like it serves as something to kind of guide you through the story, right? You can always box your starter, but by giving you that choice, you choose the starter, you grow with the starter. The starter is also naturally strong, so you can always kind of rely on it, which reinforces the fact that it is your buddy and you are growing alongside of it. So I think it makes sense functionally for a game, and then also Game Freak, I think, would just want to continue to utilize starter Pokemon. But yeah, I think it's an interesting question. Do they need it? Not really, right?
Yeah.
The reason I ask is because I understand for a new generation, the marketing point I understand, but for Legends games, especially Legends Arceus, did not have a new starter. And the premise they built around was this is a region where Pokemon absolutely hate people, but here's 3 Pokemon who would die for you. It didn't make sense for me initially. Also, this new game, Legends Z2A, it potentially could be it could be a good way to not have starters again, because I think what all of us are now theorizing is it's around building Lumiose City. Right? That's what the trailer also showed.
Right.
It could be that you're using, rather than just completing a Pokédex, the game could be around using your Pokemon to build up a city. Or part of it, a game would be using the Pokemon to build up the city. And this is where they could actually use the synchro mechanic, which they introduced in Indigo Disc as well, where you have to use certain Pokemon in a certain way to get certain resources for the city, things like that. So that's why I think they could sort of make the game slightly novel in a way, rather than following the same trend of giving us a starter and following the same story.
I guess I just wonder what the alternative is. Like if you start up, what's up?
No, I was just thinking about what he just said. I think what you're getting at more is that there wouldn't be any new Pokemon, kind of. I don't know if that's what you're getting at.
So, exactly. So even if, let's say, my options are Torchic and Totodile and, let's say, Snivy, I've used all of that at some point in my life. So I'm not going to be particularly excited about using those. I would be more interested in what this game is and what's the story and what new Pokemon, new Mega Evolutions, etc. are in this game.
Yeah. I think the marketing point there would be like with Legends Arceus. Like, you've used Cyndaquil, Oshawott, and Rowlet before, but now you're going to use a different Decidueye, a different Typhlosion, a different Samurott. So like here could be as simple as a different Superior, different Blaziken, different for Alligator with your example, or it could be the starter lineup or Pokemon that don't have Megas, and this time around they will have Megas. So the difference is you'd get to use a Mega Superior.
Which should be a little more boring in my opinion, but
it would be for sure.
It's still superior,
I mean, but we say that, but like we don't know how the Megas. It sounds boring on paper because Megas, as we know it right now, are usually battle exclusive, but like they very likely won't be in Legends EA.
Yeah, and like what Hayes is saying is that it doesn't have to be new, so it does make sense. It could just like we could get starters that are not that aren't new, like just those ones, and Megas are their perk.
Yeah,
it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing. Like what if, I don't know, that is interesting to think that they could be like a new game could come out and they'd be like, you know what, you've got 5 Pokemon to choose from, right? Because the idea of a Pokemon game is an RPG at the end, right? At the end of the day, and when you choose your starter, you're essentially choosing your archetype, right? Or it's like you know what I'm saying? Like you could pick the grass starter. It's probably going to be something that is a little bit more bulky and can kind of like whittle. You're kind of like you battle a little bit more like a stall set. If you're fire type, you're probably fast, powerful. The water types can be more bulky. So I guess if there were to be more Pokemon to choose from, if they're new Pokemon, as instead of a starter trio, if there was like 5 or 6 things to choose from, they would have to be like highly specialized. But actually, I guess we might even see that in Legends ZA, right? We might get our first batch of 3 starters, and then when you let's say you continue the game, and you get to choose between maybe the original Kalos starters, right? So they can make all of these Pokemon just fight a lot different. It's a really interesting concept. Yeah, I appreciate it, Hayes. Thank you for all your support. We're going to move on to another caller.
Oh, thank you.
Unless you have anything else to say.
No, I'm good to go.
Thank you so much, buddy.
Awesome.
It's great to hear your voice.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's good to talk to you.
Thank you.
It really is. It really is. Thank you. All right, let's see here.
Peace. Bye.
Let's see. We got Estonian. How you doing?
I'm good. How you guys?
Good. I love hearing
everyone's
good.
voice.
This is fun.
What's
I'm like,
up?
that's the voice behind.
We can
the
put
picture.
a voice to a name. Yeah.
The voice behind.
Everyone's just like a goofy icon until you hear their voice, and then you're like, no, it's a working person.
Yeah, I am not the goat from Hoodwinked.
Oh.
I was wondering.
Man, I was on the fence. I was like, "Wow, we have a celebrity."
I know. I was getting nervous.
I know. I forgot what my picture was when I joined this, and I was like, "Oh, yeah, that'll be fun."
Yeah, but yeah, thanks for joining us. Thanks for calling in. Do you have any? Do you have a question?
Yeah, I was wondering what you guys. I've been trying to think if they're gonna do Gen 5 remakes this year. At least like traditional remakes. Like, if there would be any enhancements to it from the past, because I do think they tried to put a little bit of enhancements in. I mean, I didn't play BDSP because I did not want to.
Yeah.
But I could tell they were trying to add some things to it. So I was just trying to figure out.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah. I don't know if they'll do anything like special for I think the original Dragon would be like too much to expect, obviously, for a traditional remake.
Yeah. That would have to be like a new story. I guess I guess the original Dragon could happen if we get it could almost just be like a new post game after the story of Black and White. Or I guess that's not true because it would probably have to be after Black 2 and White 2 or a prequel of Black and White. Like the Legends game.
Or they could just put it in like Zygarde in X and Y. Just like
that's true. Yeah,
just drop it right in there. Like, oh, and this was the original Dragon, and you just catch it. And then maybe in the future they explain things about it.
Yeah, or
it's just chilling in the Paris catacombs.
Yeah, they give us a Pokemon. They don't say it's the original Dragon. They just give it to us, and it looks kind of maybe like it, and we're speculating, and then eventually they confirm it. That'd be nuts.
I think that the things that I think they would change, because like with Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl, the big things that come to mind that they changed was the underground. They made it where you can find wild Pokemon down there and can like use statues to shiny hunt. Then they changed Pal Park to Romanus Park. So I would think with Unova, we would see the Poke Transporter machine change to something because it would be linked to home. So the Poke Transporter, that building in the post game where you can transfer in your old Pokemon from Diamond and Pearl and Platinum and Heart Gold and Soul Silver. I would think they'd change that. I don't know what though. Probably something to get access to older legendaries. I think that the Intralink would be changed to something because like there's the Dream World and that service isn't available. So either they bring that back or they do something else with it. And then the biggest change I think that they would make would be because if we're getting a Black and White remake, we already know that the 2025 game is Legend ZA, I think that's the early 2025 game. So we're not getting a Black 2 and White 2 remake. So I think that Black and White remakes could have in the post game the areas from Black 2 and White 2. Not the plot, but just like I can go to Humalao City. I could see something like that.
My best hope for a enhancement to Black and White is so small, but I just want to be able to get shiny Victini.
Yeah, dude.
I knew Soul would agree with me.
Is that available? Is that
no? It's still not available at all. And I'll hunt it. I'm willing to hunt it. But I hate that it's
were the shinies in Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl were the mythicals could you shiny hunt Arceus and Shaman?
At least Shaman. I don't know about Arceus.
Okay.
I feel like you could do Arceus.
That'd be a good sign though. You could shiny hunt Victini then.
That's something realistic to expect actually. At least to expect Victini to be in the game. And so if you can catch it.
It will,
And there'll be a whole story with it.
Get a shiny. To answer your question, I agree. I think if there's a Black and White remake this year, if it's this year, then it's going to be like the bare minimum Black and White remake. It's going to be very traditional, kind of like BDSP, but done in a better style, I would imagine, because they still want to improve on it. But still with the same kind of changes as BDSP, because BDSP did change things. So I think that they'll do like small mechanical changes here and there. I don't think that they would go as far to make new Pokemon and stuff, but I could be totally wrong. Like this whole Pokemon Works thing has got me thinking, like if they were previously working on this, like Pokemon Works existed before they actually made like a patent name kind of thing. Maybe they'd been working on these Gen 5 remakes for a while together, and so maybe there are ways that they could change enough of a Black and White remake to make it possible to get the original Dragon or to get a new Pokemon form or something. It would be minimal still, I think, but just because of the scope of Legends ZA coming out next year, I don't think they would want to take away too much from it at the same time, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I don't think I think it'd be a very minimal remake this coming year. I could see them maybe inserting some extra text here and there to maybe connect it to ZA, just like Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl did. just kind of different since it's a different region. But I mean, Unova was mentioned several times in X and Y, so I could definitely see them. Yeah.
Yep. I've been trying to find the connections, but yeah, and then I definitely think that Victini is possible, like we were saying. Like that's at least give us that, because I agree with you. Like I love Shiny Victini so much, and it's crazy that it's been Shiny locked since its inception. You know, like it's just never been available. So
I know that's my bare minimum request. I'm like, you guys can give me the exact same game. Just let me have that one thing, and I'll spend $60.
For real,
dude. I feel you.
I'll spend $60 on any of these ports.
Then they don't do it.
Is Meloetta and Keldeo shiny locked?
Yeah, they must be.
I think so.
I know Genesect's not, but
no, I think Genesect is shiny locked, but Genesect was
well, yeah, that's what I mean. Well, Genesect's never in a game. You can't shiny hunt Genesect, but that's what I mean is that there are legal shiny Genesects.
Yes, no, because they distribute it. No.
Could Keldeo be shiny in Crown
Tundra? I'm not sure.
No, it couldn't.
No.
So I think
so lame.
It really is so lame. I think something I'm just thinking about now. I kind of feel like the style of BDSP does kind of match up with how the overworld of Gen 4 games were already presented. They already kind of looked like big-headed chibis, and then all they did is kind of like rounded those out, made them 3D, and it's still top-down. And that's the style of BDSP, right? It's not a perfect style, but I think it does match. I think it matches Gen 4. And what I'm thinking about is when we're thinking about an interesting or a experimental style for a Gen 5 remake or a return to Unova, or an Ilka game, right? An Ilka run Gen 5 game. I think we have to consider what the actual existing art style is for Gen 5 and how they would turn that into
definitely,
or reinterpret that in a new engine.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously,
I agree 100%. I just think that they would want to try to make it a little better.
Gen 5 was edgy.
Like how
Gen 5 looked dark. It looked edgy. The colors were dark.
It was very black and white.
It was very black and white. Yeah, I think. I don't know. You guys know my dream. I just want to.
Yeah.
We all want just like a pixel art, like black 3.
We all is not correct.
Yeah.
I don't know about black and white because it was already pixel like back in the day, so I'm okay with that one not being. But yes, I want to drive home the point that I think that if they did this year, that the style would not be similar to BDSP. I think it would be. They want to change it up somehow. It can't just be like an exact traditional faithful remake of black and white. I think that the art style is what I'm getting at would be different, just so that it would spice it up. Something.
Yeah.
Because they're not going to give us any
form. They want to
form.
make it feel unique, like for each game. I don't think it would look like BDSP either or anything close to that, because I think they realized people didn't love it. I see what they were going for though, Dusty. I think you were right. Like that's what they were going for.
Yeah, I think it could have been perfected. I think people come down on BDSP a little bit too hard. I even find myself doing it because it's kind of fun. But the only issue with BDSP...
It's not fun. It's lame. It sucks. Why?
Yeah.
Dusty's promoting bullying.
I just feel like BDSP had... like I'm fine with a glorified port. If you want to upscale the games, if you want to give us a little bit new content, great. If you're not gonna include the things that were already present in the third version of the game, then you're making a worse product at the end of the day. And that's my biggest issue with BDSP.
Yep.
Right.
But this wouldn't be like that though, because they wouldn't really add black 2, white 2. I mean, we don't know.
No, we don't know.
The most I could really hope for is that we get a faithful black and white remake with black 2 and white 2 in it as well. But I don't think that's
But that doesn't make sense either, because
could you just imagine like the post game is just all of black 2, white 2 kind of thing,
I guess,
or like it's both of them together.
They might be able to do that, but it would be from the perspective of whoever the Honestly, that actually would be cool if the post game of a black and white remake, you play through black and white, and then post game is Team Galactic is back. Galactic. Team Plasma. Team Plasma is back, and
I do get those confused.
And basically all you really, or maybe like when you beat the game, it's like 3 years later, right? And then there's like a little bit of a time thing.
Maybe, but like
your
the
character
whole thing
ages
with
up.
Black 2 and White 2 is that your character's missing. So that
and
would
where would
take
all
away.
Well, that's when
your team go, you know?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I guess what I was thinking was like you're playing out where your character goes, right? And eventually you play through whatever the story is that they add on the end of that. Because like the issue with remaking Black 2 and White 2 is that you're playing
taking
from
it to another level,
the perspective of a new character, right?
Yeah.
And so none of that would be present. But you could go back to that new area, the new areas of Unova. You could go back there and battle those gym leaders as kind of like just post-game content. You could battle Team Plasma. And then maybe there's a third part of the story, which is essentially Black 3, White 3. I think that could work.
I would be, that no would not be for this year.
No, not for this year.
Case scenario,
I'm just talking just in general.
Well,
the best case scenario is we see the Black 2 and White 2 areas in the post game of Black and White, but like there won't be the plot. It'll just be like you can go to Humalao. There might be a little Easter egg like, yeah, hi, I'm Marlon. I'm the new gym leader here. They just hired me.
That's fair, but the only thing I'm thinking of is how do you fuse the Curums? That's my main. I'm just like, would the fused Curums be in it somehow?
That's what we all
they're
want.
Adding Black 2, White 2.
Sure,
but
like
also
maybe you go to the little plasma lab and like in on that like island kind of near where you get the Larvesta egg, and you like find the DNA splicer on the counter.
You'd have to catch the legendaries too, but yeah, it's possible.
Yeah,
I think that's kind of what I mean. Like they'd add some stuff in like that.
They'd have to really reinterpret the whole story and give it to us. It really depends
on the whole Pokemon Works thing, in my opinion. We need to know. We need to know more about all of this.
I could almost see late next year, instead, if ZA is early in the year, there'd be a Black 2, White 2 remake.
Oh, that'd be
hold us off in the fall of next year.
That would be something.
I still think it's Gen 10 fall of next year.
I do think it's Gen 10.
I think so too, but I think they could do something. I feel like Unova's the one that they've been having trouble figuring out how they would address in general, since the two games are different characters.
Yeah, I definitely want to be a little conservative and say like, if we are, I mean, they've already announced the big game, right? So in my mind, if we get a game this year, it's not going to be as exciting as Legends ZA. I don't think Pokemon, I think if it was an exciting title, if they were like, you're getting a new Black 3, White 3, you're getting a new remake of whatever, right? Like a true fun, like the remake that we think about when we think about Heart Gold, Soul Silver. If there was a game on the same caliber as that, they would have announced that on Pokemon Day. But instead they said, here's the big Pikachu, you're getting it in 2025. And then what they're going to do, if they do anything, is that they're going to say, here's a little cherry on top, just enjoy this, chew on this, because in a couple months you're also going to get the big thing, right? So if they're now going to tease 2 games, that I'm like, it's hard for me to believe that. I could believe one game, but I don't know.
It's really hard to say because first of all, I don't think they're going to tease 2 games. Like I think once they announce the Black White remakes, that's all they're going to focus on, and I don't think that they're going to talk about ZA for a while. Like I really don't. I think it's going to be at least August, and if they do say anything in August, it'll be minimal.
Pokemon Legends ZA, the point of them announcing that is to get us excited and to keep the lifeline going, right? When there's something that that the community, right, us, the people on YouTube, when we have something to set our sights for, right, that's like the big overarching event that we can all be united under. And then if we get these like inconsequential releases before that, who cares? I mean, we're gonna buy it. It's exciting, but it's not like I feel like
it just sucks for the people. It sucks for the people that love Gen 5 though. Like
but
we're talking about the people that had Gen 4 remakes that they were like, man, I didn't even play because it was terrible.
But I think that makes sense. But I think what we're gonna see over the next 5 years is like an apps we're gonna see Pokemon and Game Freak distancing themselves from these mundane just like irrelevant patterns, right? I think if we get a Gen 5 quote unquote port remake, whatever, faithful remake, I think there's still hope that we could eventually in a couple years or in 10 years get something else, right? I don't know. We were talking about Gen 7 earlier. I think they're just going to go out of order. I don't think there's any. I don't know. Does it suck for them? I don't know. They got two whole stories, and Unova was present in Gen 9 already, right?
Yeah, it's complicated. We need more information.
Yeah,
that's basically it. But yeah, it's a really good question
for sure, man. Yeah, thank you for calling in. Do you have anything else to say?
No, appreciate it, you guys.
Yeah, appreciate you, man. We really appreciate you.
We appreciate you.
We definitely.
Yeah. So what I'm thinking, right? I mean, I don't know. How do you guys feel about all this? Like, I think, I don't know. I think there's just, I don't know. I guess to continue my thought is like when the DLC ended, right? We were like, great, now what? And then it was dead for 3 months, which isn't that long of a time. But if they had announced a couple months ago on Pokemon Day, if they were like, hey, you're getting a black and white remake, it's faithful, and then that's it. They're like, the Pokemon community is dead for a whole year, right? No excitement, no innovation, nothing on the horizon. And I think they also do this. I think they're also playing this dance to kind of avoid any sort of unnecessary criticism, you know, because they got a lot of flack for BDSP, even though it sold decent. Like, I think the reception isn't as strong, even though it's sold well, right? So
yeah, no, I agree.
So
I agree. I think that's totally right. Like they weren't going to do it. Even when Pokemon Day was coming up, we were all just like, everyone's going to be disappointed.
Yeah,
because we thought that it was just going to be a black and white remake.
Yeah,
made by somebody else this year, and that's it.
Yeah.
So they spiced it up. They knew that it wouldn't be enough.
Yeah.
So the thing is, did they cut it, or is it actually coming, and what would it be like? You know, like we don't know anything about it other than, you know, it's outsourced.
Yeah.
So so it's a conundrum.
It is, but I don't know. I am getting excited. I'm hoping. I mean, we got a lot of content planned for the next couple months on our end. But what I was gonna say is, like, I was just at PAX East in Boston, and it felt so good that I can meet brand new people who I wasn't friends with, and we were able to say things like, "How cool is it that we're going back to Kalos? What do you think about that?" Like, "Oh, we're getting another Legends game. What do you think about that?" And then all of these conversations were able to spark from there. You know what I'm saying? Like that's exciting. Yeah. That's really exciting. Like I don't think anyone would be pumped for that if it was just like a Gen 5 remake or whatever.
Definitely not, unless it was an amazing Gen 5 remake.
Yeah.
But I just want to say, like, yes, it was a little lesser than Pokemon Legends ZA, but I just don't think that they're gonna make some trash either.
No, I don't think so.
It's not as important or crazy. It's not as ambitious,
Yeah.
but I think that they wouldn't just put out a terrible product. But then again, BDSP exists, so I'm just
I was about to say, but
I might be coping. I don't know. I just don't think they do it. But anyway,
they will if it sells.
Yeah.
All right, this is like bonus content. All right, Drogan, we're gonna let you in.
Use your secret power.
Here we go.
A short 2 hours.
I know, a short 2 hours.
I gotta go at 1. I don't know what time it is for you guys. Most of you guys were. I was surprised how many UK people we got.
I know, right?
I love it.
Drogan, feel free to join. I think I gave you access.
There he goes.
There he is.
I have permission to speak.
What's up, Drogan? How you doing?
I'm in between, man. YouTube kind of screwed me over big time recently, so
yeah, I saw
I
that.
haven't been on for a while. Yeah.
That's too bad.
But I mean, outside of that, I've been all right. I mean, I started a new channel, so we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, that'll be exciting to check out. Yeah. So we're talking about Legends ZA. We've been talking about a whole bunch of things. What are you most excited for when it comes to ZA?
So ZA for me, it's the lore. Obviously, I mean, everything I care about in Pokemon has always been lore, but what I'm really curious is to see what they're going to do with Mega Evolution and tying it into the modern day lore, because that's like a very open-ended question that has so many different answers. There's nothing that really confirms many things. It just basically states that it's there.
Yeah.
And its formation on how it exists between Kalos and Owen is very muddied, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, that's real. I think I'm playing through X version right now, and I'm like definitely discovering a lot of things that I just wasn't aware of. I got to be more consistent with my playthrough because I feel like I've got 2 badges and I'm already starting to kind of like not care. Like I'm trying to choose my words carefully, but I'm like I almost like don't care about my playthrough, and I don't know, I gotta pay more attention to it.
You're gonna hurt Lumi's feelings.
I know I'm trying to be kind. I'm trying to be like a nice person and respectful.
Hey, that's
to the fact that he
I've
loves
learned
it.
long before now that Dusty has some bad opinions.
So that's funny because I actually went out of my way to buy a 2DS and get both X and Y recently. Which GameStop, by the way, if you ever buy from GameStop now and they ship it to your house, they don't send the boxes. Apparently, they just send the cartridges.
That's nice.
So I had picked up Y back in 2013 when it came out. So I was like, I'll do Y, and I started playing through it again. And the one thing that I forgot about with Kalos is that I do genuinely believe it is a very, very pretty region to play through. It is
pretty, yeah.
But I do understand why some people have an issue with the gameplay because every time you turn a corner, there's a Pokemon you can add to your team that overpowers you to an extent.
No, dude, that is so true because you think that wouldn't be an issue, but that it is an issue because I'm like training up my team, and then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, there's an Absol. And then I'm like training my Pancham, and then I'm like, well, but there's a, what was it? I don't know. I'll just find like another fighting type that I'm like, I guess I should use that now. It almost feels like a ROM hack, to be honest with you. You know, like in ROM hacks, you can find anything. And I think it almost breaks my immersion, even though it's obviously all canon. It's all real. It's a real, X and Y is a real game. It actually happened. But I do kind of feel like, I'm like, is this supposed to be here?
Did Lumi freeze?
I think that's like the diff.
Oh, his brain is breaking. He's like so angry.
What? That's like why. That's like the beauty of the game to me. I guess it's all in the eye of the beholder, right? Like for me, I think that like the fact that you can have any Pokemon really like before the second gym, not literally, but you know what I mean, like a wide variety, and on each route, especially because I like to, when I replay games, I often do Nuzlocks, which the rule with Nuzlocks is that the first Pokemon you encounter on a route is your capture, and that makes it so interesting because instead of going on this route and knowing like I can get a Pidgey or a Caterpie, instead it's like I can get anything between a Seviper to a Bagon, Absol, cool. Minfu, Inkay. I love that aspect of it.
For me,
I agree. But the only problem is like I said, is because of the way the mechanic of the game is set up. Mega Evolution like OD overpowers everything you have.
Sure.
So it's already kind of a very mundane gym battle experience. So that was the big complaint when I remember when these games first came out. It was how incredibly easy they were. Like that was the main complaint about it, which for me I was kind of like, it doesn't really matter because I'm like, if you want to play actual competitive, you can just go online. So
or you can create difficulty for yourself to make
the
game
so what I do
like
is
you can turn off the experience share.
Yeah.
Which is what I do, and then what I do is I play with Pokemon that I normally would never touch. Like right now, I'm using Duo. Like I'm running a Duo. Yeah, so I'm running that, and I'm running. What else did I pick up recently? I'm trying to remember because I haven't played for a few days. There was something else I picked up that I'll probably remember when we're done here. It's funny because now I'm so used to transporting like Pokemon that are from Go into home to play with them in a new playthrough that are shiny. I have a shiny Gorbis that I would love to use in X and Y, but I can't because they don't have that option for X and Y. But it is fun to do it from that aspect because I'm challenging myself not to use any Mega Evolution and also to use Pokemon that really don't have like an overpowered 3-stage evolution. So like Duo is one that I'm definitely using. Pamcham, that's what it was.
Yeah,
I'm using Pamcham right now. I never ran through the game with that, so I was like, why not pick that up? But the only thing is I have to have another dark type in my party to evolve it.
Yeah.
So I'm just keeping a Scraggy around for now until it evolves.
What I do like about X and Y,
I try to do with that.
Okay. What I do like about X and Y, I know it's like kind of counterintuitive, but like I actually do like using the experience share because it does allow me to almost test out certain Pokemon before I commit to them, if that makes sense, right? I can like I have I had an Oddish in my party, and now it's a Gloom, and it's actually being like really useful. And now I'm like, maybe I'll use this. Maybe I'll evolve it into a Blossom, right? But I understand
That's
that.
like, just to hear you say that made me cringe, honestly.
I know. Go Vileplume, always.
Well, but I've never used, I don't think I've ever used a Blossom. So, but anyways, yeah. So how about this? Do you think this game's going to take place in the past or the future?
So I've paid attention. I know I haven't been online for a while, but I paid attention to what everybody's saying with the whole history of France and all that.
Yeah.
And I can understand going into the 18th century. Well, 18th century, 1800s, 18th century.
Yeah.
Wow. Never mind. I got to see them going in that direction. Excuse me. But the only problem that I have is that there's not enough to go on in the trailer to really be like, I know for sure.
A lot of people are really confident.
I want it to be that time frame. Just as much as I like the starter idea too. I think it was Hoops that brought it up, the Survivor, and all that. The only thing that's holding me back from this is that I feel like they're gonna want to have returning characters from Legends Arceus show up in some way.
Yeah.
Or have characters that would be linked to Scarlet and Violet. They don't have to, but I feel like because of the basis of how they've been structuring their games lately, they like ancestral characters or they like surprise characters to show up.
Yeah.
Like, Ego from Gen 5 or, I liked, I forget who it was. I think it was actually you, Dusty, that brought it up on a podcast that you would say that it'd be kind of cool to see Heath show up in that time frame.
Yeah, definitely.
Which would make sense.
Seems
because
like a Lumi comment, but
it's around that time. All right. Well, either one of you brought it up, and I thought that was a really good idea because contextually speaking, Kalos and Paldea, unless we're way off our mark, are right next to each other in a way. And if it being based 200 years prior to the events of X and Y, which is the time frame that a lot of people are wanting it to be, that would actually line up with Heath being an explorer at that time. Because it's never alluded to the fact whether Heath is actually from Paldea or not. He's just a renowned explorer.
Well,
so
I think
he could technically be there,
Yeah, I like that. I think what I like about Legends the Legends style game, like the main series games, they are constantly pushing forward like the current timeline and characters, and they're expanding the world and then pushing that timeline forward. But the Legends game allows us to kind of go back in time to recontextualize all of these legends, right? All of these legendary moments. And I think what they should also do, now that we've got an expansion and an introduction of all these like ancestors that are located in real world, or the Pokemon equivalent of like Hokkaido, right? In Japan, right? Japan's pretty small comparative to the rest of the world or other countries. Now that we're going back in time in this European region, I would love to see them expand this geographical location of characters, right? Give us characters.
Right.
Soul was saying this earlier. Give us characters from Galar, right? I want to see characters from Paldea, right? This is where you get Heath involved, right? I think it'd be cool to maybe see a couple characters that are originally from Hisui, because that would just kind of tie it in nicely and then kind of confirm to us what the timeline is. But I don't want it to be a bunch of Hisui characters, right?
No.
Agreed. No, I do like the fact, and I know this may be controversial for some because people want like a whole fleshed out Kalos like they do with Hisui, but I do like the fact that it is confined to Lumio City.
I did too.
And the reason why I like this is because it'll be the first Pokemon game to really take advantage of showing us what a city in Pokemon genuinely looks like, with like cars, people, different things that there's different activities that you could do. Like I could see them expanding the cooking if they wanted to in a different direction. But also it would be set. This is another thing that a lot of people have forgotten. It would be set during the time frame of the Industrial Revolution. So because of that, you could have a lot of people in the forefront of, Lumios bringing ideas up on how they can industrialize the city.
Yeah.
There's going to be many different directions they could take besides the historical context they've already brought up of Houseman, I believe.
Yeah.
So with that aside, you do have other aspects you can play with, like what does electricity look like in Lumiose City? Like, are they going to go the lantern aspect, or are they going to go like, this is how the power plant was built and this is how it's powered?
It's going to be powered by, this is my prediction, it's going to be powered by infinity energy, and we're going to be tasked to like capturing this infinity energy, which is also mega energy, yada, yada, yada. Basically, we start fueling the city, and then we get revealed that the blueprint for Lumiose Tower is actually an ultimate weapon, and then we need to be stopped. That's my big prediction.
So that's interesting. I mean, because in modern day, Lumiose Tower does have a blackout, and they have to repair the blackout because of how they're going in that direction. Infinity energy is used by the Devon Corporation to power all of Hoenn. That is how they do it. So they could implement that. And they also stated that in the Devon Corporation, the way that they got the ability to harness infinity energy from Hoenn, well, from Kalos, was from the ultimate weapon, like the context on how they built it and all that, which is where I think it's funny that people always like look at the Devon Corporation as like a great corporation, but in reality, they're pretty scummy. Yeah, because they're taking the life force of Pokemon to power an entire region. So it's no different than what AZ did. Yeah, but I could see that actually, because that would make sense. The question would be, what ancestor would they use to implement that storyline?
Dude, I hope a stone.
Tierno.
Yeah, Tierno.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Maybe it's an ancestor,
and
yeah, he's just dancing the whole time. He's the evil villain. What if it's a mixture of Bonnie and is it Bonnie and Clyde? No, that's something else.
Clement.
No, that's
real life.
Yeah, Bonnie and Clement.
Real life.
It's an ancestor of Bonnie and Clement, and then the stones maybe.
Yeah, what was also interesting about what they did in Hisui's ancestors, people haven't talked about this too much and currently from what I've seen, but a lot of Hisui's ancestors were ancestors of villains, but they were not actually villains in Hisui. So like, for example, Silene was not a villain, but you could argue that Rowan's ancestor, whose name I forget, he kind of was. You know, Cynthia's not a villain, but Volo is. Yeah. So we could actually get an ancestor, which would be Lysander's line is interesting in general because he descends from AZ's
royalty.
younger brother. Correct. Who
which
actually
ties
does become the king of Palace.
Yeah. So does that? I'm assuming that ties into the twins that ruled, or the Unova twins, right?
So I know
the legendary dragons.
I know a lot of people want that to be a fact, but based on the research I've done on the wars, I don't think it is. No.
Yeah, maybe they can make it real, and that's the tie-in to Gen 5.
Well, yeah, and if they do, so here's the thing. Parfum Palace, I did a big video on that. That was like one of my first videos that I actually did really well with. That is confused quite a bit with AZ and the war that happened in Kalos. It's a different time frame. So the Parfum Palace was erected 300 years before X and Y. And the reason why it was because it was a conflict that had happened with several different regions surrounding Kalos at that time. So it's based on a conflict where Galar and, well, it would be France and obviously Britain went to war. Spain was involved, and then there was a relationship between France and the United States during that time for like trading weapons and stuff like that, you know, intermingling with goods. So in my analysis that I could with the Parfum Palace, you could find it on my channel. If you have, I'm a shameless plug now.
I watched it actually.
If you pay attention to the video, the problem was there was a hedge in the garden that couldn't be deciphered. You could decipher the other three, but you couldn't decipher the last one. And the way the hedges go is they go counterclockwise from Gen 1 to Gen 4. So basically, I'm paraphrasing the own video there, but if you come to the conclusion, Galar would have been the adversary, and then Paldea, France, and Unova would have been aligned against Galar in that conflict. So that's why Unova is so heavily represented in Parfum Palace, because they had a relationship with Unova, an allied relationship against a Galarian opposing force. Now, there's no context to really put it together and say it's factual, but if you look hard enough, you could see that the answers
juicy
were
theories,
there.
A lot of evidence.
The reason why I bring this up though is that during that time frame, that war would have happened at the same time Hisui's events would have went on, which then is 100 years prior to the events of what people think Pokemon Legends Zia is going to be taking place at. So theoretically speaking, you could have a character who's still ruling over Kalos that would be 2 generations removed from that conflict. That person would be in charge of whatever Kalos would be called, if it is still Kalos, which I assume it is, based on the fact that 3,000 years ago it was called Kalos. I assume that it'd still be called Kalos now. The Sui was a bit different because they did change their culture and language in real life in Japan several times before they got to Japan.
I gotta do some research, dude. You're blowing my mind. I don't know any of this. This is great.
Well, if you watch my content, Dusty, and not shove me, you'd know.
I was gonna say I watched this video, so I know a lot about this now. Yeah. So it's good.
Yeah, Soul's a real one. I support you, and you just like whatever, man. I don't care.
Dude. It's. I'll be honest. It's hard to watch every single video that all of my friends put out.
Oh, I don't.
Like when all of our friends are creators.
When you and I are doing the grind as well.
I think I watch like 1 Lumi video a month, or something like that.
Yeah, pretty much. Same with you. It's wild, actually.
And a lot of us watch more. It comes down to like also a lot of us are talking about the same stuff. We obviously all have different takes.
Yes.
We all have different takes, but it's still like I'm like, okay, I just can't watch every single video by every single person. So
no, I'm just busting you,
man. But it is
I'm
real. Thank you so much, Drogan.
You guys too, man. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, dude. Anytime. See ya. But thank you everyone for calling in today. This was a fun experiment, and I think it was really successful. If you are listening now, it's obviously not a live stream, but if you're listening to the playback and you want to be part of a discussion like this, you can join and become a channel supporter on YouTube or through our Patreon link in the description. You get access to all of our secret power episodes. Those are usually behind the scenes. We'll talk about our weekend. We'll talk about personal stuff. We'll talk about random stuff, and that's usually a lot of fun. Anything that's like not Pokemon, that's what we talk about on Secret Power. But you also will get access to this.
We talk about Pokemon too.
And Pokemon we do, yeah. Still always comes up.
Yeah. We'll be talking about like oatmeal, and then we're like, what type would a ghost oatmeal Pokemon be? Yeah, right.
Probably ghost type.
Yeah, probably. I would say it's a grass type because they're oats, right? But anyways,
why'd you say ghost oatmeal?
I don't know. It has to be sentient in some way. It would actually be fairy type. It'd be fairy grass.
Ghost oats.
Because it's a food. But basically, yeah. So that's Dusty Oat is what Estonia is saying.
That's great.
So if you want to join the community, if you want to join the secret Discord, and you want to get access to exclusive content, chat with us on these live streams, join the community. Link in the description. We also have merch. That is another great way to support the channel. But we love you guys very much, and thanks for hanging out with us, and we're looking forward to Pokemon Legends ZA. We'll see you soon.
Heck yeah.
Bye.
See you guys.